First pitch, 7:05, 95 degrees.
Two strikes on Tom, who at 298 over his final couple of months here with Columbus, swings at a fastball up and in and pops it up foul behind Rocky Gale, who keeps the mask on his face, and the ball lands on the roof.
Encouraging start here for Snell. He is around the zone more than he was in his last start.
Well, Blake Snell, even a couple of days ago, as it was being contemplated where his next appearance would be it be a rehab for the Bulls or live BP? As he bounces in off speed, and it's 2-2. He simply didn't want to get in the way, potentially, of what is another Governor's Cup championship run for the Durham Bulls. But Snell will get his 2 innings here tonight. Aaron Slagers, who has been lights out, one of the most consistent pitchers in the league over the last month and a half, he will follow. And a break ball, swing and a miss. And down goes Tom on a Snell slider on the inside corner. And the first out of the first inning belongs to Snell and the Bulls.
And encouraging for Snell there also the feel for the breaking ball. That's something that's kind of a concern coming into today. Can he locate the secondary pitches? So far, so good for Blake Snell.
And again, we saw Snell 24 pitches in Game 3 on Saturday up in Moosic, Pennsylvania. The fastball velocity was in the 93-96 range, but the command was not there, nor was it with his changeup or his sliders. He buries the inside corner against his former teammate, Andrew Velasquez. Traded to the Indians a couple of months ago. Velasquez, 25 years old, hit .244 over his dozen games with Columbus and swings after a curveball, lunges at it, and taps it away, strike 2. Dan Marzell, our home plate umpire. He's the crew chief of this championship series. Chris Graham at first, Eric Backus at second, Adam Beck at third. Rocky Gale puts down the sign against Andrew Velasquez. It's an 0-2 count. The windup by the 6'4 lefty, and Snell's fastball up around the letters of Velasquez. Andrew Velasquez, a key member of the Bulls championship team last year. Made his major league debut with the Tampa Bay Rays. Up and down with the Rays a couple of times this year, and he takes strike 3, and he knew it. Exits the box quickly as Snell pinpoints the inner black at 93 miles an hour. Consecutive strikeouts against the top 2 hitters in this Columbus lineup.
This is exactly what Durham needed to start off this game. You have Blake Snell cruising here, and as you mentioned, he's on about a 30-pitch count. Right now, he's if he can keep this up, he should be able to get 2 innings out of that.
Well, now the question for Brady Williams, he's been in the stands watching this before last night in Game 2. The first inning has led to the demise of the Bulls in each of the first 2 games of this championship series. And Bradley Zimmer tried to hold back on a curveball, but he went too far, strike 1. There was a 3 spot in the first of Game 1 on a home run by Bobby Bradley. That came against Jose De Leon. And then last night, Fleming retired the first 2 in the bottom of the first before, against this same shift defensively, Zimmer put down a bunt to third, beat it out. Fleming then walked a couple of hitters ahead of a grand slam with 2 outs by Ryan Lavarnwood. Curveball bounces in from Snell, 1-1.
And this is a lineup where things can, this Columbus lineup can turn things around very quickly because there is power kind of up and down the lineup.
1 ball, 1 strike on Zimmer. Just on his way back after right shoulder surgery last July. Took him out of a lineup for a little more than a year as he taps one away foul, 1-2. Just started rehabbing in the Arizona League in early August. Finally got back to Columbus in the final week of the regular season. Swung it well. We saw a big throw last night from Zimmer that almost cut down Kevin Padlo trying to score on a base hit. And it's a 1-2 count. And will Brady Williams get his 0 in the top of the first inning from Snell? That he said was vital to the Bulls' chances tonight. Here's the 1-2. A bouncing ball, a couple of hops out to second base. Haley will field. Sidearm throw, and there's the 0. Put up by Snell, 14 pitches. Couple of strikeouts, a routine bounce out to second, and Snell gets the job done in the top of the first. Bulls on the way against a former star Bull right-hander. Mitch Talbot takes them out against Durham for the first time in his career when we return. Game 3 underway. Columbus nothing. Bulls coming up. Game 3 Governor's Cup final to the bottom of the first inning, and the Bulls are already 3.5 runs ahead of where they've been after an inning in Columbus. Clippers put up 3 in the first in Game 1 on Tuesday, but they put up 4 on a grand slam from Lavarnway last night. Blake Snell, 14 pitches, retires the Clippers in order. And now it's Mitch Talbot, 35-year-old right-hander who made his major league debut 11 years ago as a Tampa Bay Ray, called up from Durham. Faces the Bulls for the first time in his career, and a fastball from the righty at the knees of Jake Cronenworth. So many beautiful subplots to Game 3. And Talbot ready to go on 0-1 against the International League batting champion Jake Cronenworth. Swings at a breaking ball, hits a 2-hopper to the right of second base. Backhand by Ernie Clements, and throws out Cronenworth. And here's the lineup card signed by Brady Williams. Cronenworth at shortstop, followed by Emilio Bonifacio, the designated hitter. Jason Coates in left bats third. And Dylan Cousins, the cleanup hitter in right. Kevin Padlow, he's batting fifth and plays third. Dalton Kelly at first base. Rocky Gale bats seventh and does the catching. Nathan Lucas in center. And Jim Haley back in the lineup after Ladendorf started at second last night. Haley hitting ninth. And the first pitch on Bonifacio downstairs from Talbot. 6'1" right-hander out of Canyon View High School out in Cedar City, Utah. 3-3 in the regular season with a .537 and a called strike on Bonifacio. Bonifacio 3 of 8 in the championship series. Drove in a run last night in a late game surge by the Bulls that saw the Bulls rally to get the tying run to home plate, trailing 7-4 as Talbot throws an off-speed pitch down, check swing, appeal down to third base, and Adam Beck is declined. 2 balls and 1 strike. Two and 1 on Bonifacio, and here's the deliberate wind by Talbot, and zips one inside under the front elbow of Bonifacio. Ball 3.
Veteran versus veteran. Veteran versus veteran. We have a 20. We have someone from 2000 signed in 2001 versus someone signed in 2002. We almost have a 20th century player here.
Here's the 3-1 on the way from Talbot outside, and the Bulls have the game's first base runner. So Bonifacio is aboard ahead of Jason Coates. And again, to repeat the context, the Bulls are aiming to become just the second International League team to win 3 straight Governor's Cup. The only team to do so, 1979, 1980, and 1981, Columbus Clippers. And since the Bulls became a AAA franchise in 1998, no Governor's Cup champion has rallied from an 0-2 deficit to win it. That's what stands in front of the Bulls as Coates takes a slider away from Talbot. And meanwhile, on the other side, a Columbus Clipper victory tonight or at some point this weekend here in Durham, they would become the most decorated International League Governor's Cup champion in history. They are currently tied with the Rochester Red Wings, 10 Governor's Cup titles apiece, as Talbot throws over on Bonifacio at first base. But for Columbus, their last Governor's Cup title was 4 years ago. Rochester's last one was 1997, the year before the Bulls joined the IL. Well, Jason Coates has had a terrific postseason run for the Bulls. And swings away at a slider that was up from Talbot. Socks it out of play. Coates a home run last night to get the Bulls on the board. Had a couple of 3-run homers in the semifinal sweep over Scranton. Bulls trailed 7-0 going into the 6th inning last night before Coates Hit one over the 405 mark out in left center field. Durham then scored 3 times in the 7th and had Coates in the box as the tying run. Here's the 1-1, a bluff by Bonifacio, and Talbot paints the outside corner with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
It is going to be tough to run tonight. Talbot does a good job holding runners, the little things of the game as you would expect from a 35-year-old veteran.
And so Bonifacio out at first base, 15 of 21 in steals. Dionair Navarro, the former Tampa Bay Rays catcher, works behind the plate. Bonifacio not going, and Talbot hits the outside corner, bottom of the knees. Coates rung up. Dan Merzel, crew chief, home plate umpire for the first time in this championship, rings up Coates, and Talbot has 2 outs. Now, for Mitch Talbot, you just have to wonder how he's able to control the emotions. I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays organization means so much to him now. He's certainly in the twilight of his career at the age of 35. He had been out of affiliated baseball for 5 years until he got back into the Indians organization last year. Missed a year with arm injuries. Was in Korea for a year. Was in independent ball for several years as Dylan Cousins misses off speed. But in his time as a Bull, back in 2007, 2008, 2009, you're talking the early prime of Talbot's career, he won 30 games as a Bull over 3 seasons. He led the International League in wins in 2007. He was 5th in wins the next year. And then made 10 more starts as a Bull in 2009 as he snaps a throw on Bonifacio. He was 30-22. In 07, teammates with Elliott Johnson, Jeff Neiman, Evan Longoria, all on the way up. In 08, Joel Guzman was the leader of that Bulls offense, along with Dan Johnson and Chris Richard. And then in 2009, he actually helped the Durham Bulls win the Governor's Cup. They lost in the finals in 07 and 08. But there's one thing missing for Talbot. He does not have a postseason victory as a member of the Durham Bulls. He made 5 starts, 3 no decisions, couple of losses. And this is the first time he has ever faced the Durham Bulls. Another move on Bonifacio. No tag from Bobby Bradley. 2 outs in the bottom of the first. 0-0. Dylan Cousins. Couple of doubles in this series. One in game 1, another one last night. Signed by the Rays a little more than a month ago. It was not expected that Cousins would even suit up in a regular season or postseason game the rest of the year, but openings arose. His rehab off of foot surgery was expedited, and he joined the Bulls in the final week of the regular season. Swing and a miss on off-speed down.
And if I remember correctly, 2-year deal, which is something unusual for a minor leaguer, but just shows how much the Rays value him.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, I believe Jason Coates also was on a 2-year deal a couple of years ago after he came back from UCL surgery, I believe it was. Bonifacio, good lead at first. 2-strike count on Cousins. Here's Talbot's pitch, and Cousins breezes over the top of a breaking ball. And Mitch Talbot's return to Durham gets him through the first inning. A 1-out walk, but then back-to-back strikeouts of Coates and Cousins. And we are done with 1 inning of Game 3 of the Governor's Cup Finals. Snell back to the hill in a scoreless game.
Vincent, everybody, please wave. Say hello to Vincent.
A perfect top of the first by Blake Snell, who makes his return to Durham Bulls Athletic Park for the first time in about 2.5 years. Faced the Norfolk Tides here on June 21st, 2017. That was the last time he pitched on friendly soil. And again, rehab. 24 pitches on Saturday up in Scranton. Aaron Slegers had to bail him out in that first inning. And Slegers begins to get loose in the Durham bullpen as Snell loops in a curveball low against Bobby Bradley, who for one of the rare times in this Governor's Cup Championship Series bats with the bases empty. He has been a menacing presence in this Columbus lineup so far in this series. As Snell bounces in off speed, deflects out of the dirt, off the mid of Gale, and off of the arm of the home plate umpire.
2 pitches, 2 breaking balls, which is not surprising considering you do not want to let Bobby Bradley extend his arms against the fastball.
Bradley, the home run king, with 33 in the regular season. Swings and misses a sweeping slider there by Snell. 2-1.
Would not surprise me if we don't see a fastball in this at-bat.
2-1 on the left-handed Bradley. Padlo backpedaling toward the second base bag, and a fastball a little wide from Snell at 94 miles an hour. Falls behind Bradley at 3-1. He's shown very good patience in this series. He knows that he needs to be perhaps even more selective than he has been in the regular season. He's been hit by a pitch once. He's walked 3 times in this championship. And a bouncy ball under Snell's glove. There's Padlo behind the second base bag, and the third baseman throws out Bradley. Perfectly played by Kevin Padlo, who prior to the previous pitch was a little more shifted toward the shortstop hole and then backpedaled quickly near the second base bag and deep, and that's right where Bradley hit that fastball.
Third baseman playing a little bit almost to the left of where a shortstop normally plays, but that positioning, the adjustment done for the pitch was perfect.
So the first 4 retired by Snell, and now Mark Mathias, who was the cleanup hitter last night for Columbus, with the left-handed Fleming on the mound, swings away to Snell fastball, knocks it foul to the right. The lineup that Tony Mansolino has put together tonight for Columbus is the identical lineup we saw in Game 1 with the righty Jose De Leon starting. But with Snell opening, but Slager is going to get 5 or 6 innings, Mansolino reverting back to his right-handed starting pitcher lineup. Snell bounces in a curveball on Mathias. 12 home runs in the regular season, drove in 59. As the Bulls defense in the outfield has Coates, Lucas, and Cousins left, center, and right. Padlo and Cronenworth on the left side. Haley and Kelly on the right. Swing and a miss on a changeup by Snell. And Rocky Gale is catching. Ball and 2 strikes on Mathias, who played last night with about 150% energy. There's the 1-2 on the righty, and Snell misses at the shins inside with a fastball. I mean, there were 4 different times in last night's game where Mathias, generally away on a shift from the third base line, was trying to track down pop-ups, rammed his body against the padded railing in front of the Bulls' third base dugout 4 times. And the last time slipped down the stairs a bit before he maintained his balance. Fouls off a high fastball, 2-2.
Playoff baseball, you gotta love it.
Love the effort. Love the effort. Mathias, 25 years old. No big league time with the Indians this year.
I love the playoff crowds. You know, they're not always as big, but they are the most locked-in, focused crowds you see at a ballpark all year.
Snell into the 2-2 wind, and the pitch on the righty, Mathias. A swing that got jammed, pops it up. Haley tracks it to short right field and makes the catch away from his left shoulder. That was a well-spotted fastball by Snell. Elevated a bit, but got in on Mathias. And much improved command by Blake Snell's stuff over the first 5 hitters tonight than what we saw in a, frankly, inconsistent first inning up in Scranton. But again, he can be absolved because he hadn't thrown to live hitters in a live game situation in about 6.5 or 7 weeks. 2 outs, nobody on. Second inning, scoreless game, and Daniel Johnson stares at strike 1. And that 93-mile-an-hour pitch had some life. Well, Johnson had a fine year for Columbus. Hit .306, drove in 44. Swings and misses a slider there by Snell. Got called up to Columbus just before Memorial Day and had been manipulated around the outfield. Generally played right, a little bit of center, occasionally in left. Spreads out the stance on 0-2 and breezes over the top of a slider. And Blake Snell, 28 pitches in 2 perfect innings. Thanks for coming to Game 3, because he will now turn it over to Aaron Slagers. Snell has done his job. Middle of 2 from Durham. Columbus nothing, Bulls nothing.
Leading off for the Bulls, number 15, Kevin Padlo.
Bottom 2 from Durham Bulls Athletic Park. Nothing the score. Handshake has been given to Blake Snell in what was a dominant 2-inning appearance. And now Mitch Talbot, the 35-year-old, returns to the hill. He will draw Padlo, Kelly, and Gale. Bulls have the game's only base runner on a walk to Bonifacio in the first inning. And Padlo takes the first pitch from Talbot through the dirt for ball one. Kevin Padlo joined the Bulls up from Double-A Montgomery. It's been a career year in the power department, combined with Montgomery and Durham. And now a couple of more home runs in the postseason for Padlo as he bounces one on one long a hop against the facing of the camera well down the third base line.
Big boost for Durham since he arrived and really just kind of stepped in. We hadn't had much of an adjustment at all to AAA baseball.
Yeah, Padlo originally joined the Bulls right around the time that Mike Brasso was called to the big leagues for the first time this year by the Rays as he lays off a fastball down in the dirt. Padlo up 2-1. Padlo 290 with 9 home runs with Durham. A couple more in the postseason. He had 12 with Montgomery over his 70 games with the Biscuits. Here's the 2-1. Swings and rolls over one. Flatliner to short. Velasquez fields. Throws on target. And Padlo retired to begin the second inning. Pretty quality pitch behind the count by Talbot. It's a movement away from Padlo. Instead of going with it, rolled over it. Pulled it easily to Velasquez at shortstop.
And enticing when you do that, too. You think you're getting that cookie that you could really do something with, and instead, you've just ground it out.
So the first out brings up Dalton Kelly. And a look at the defense for Columbus as they shift around a bit on the Bulls' left-handed hitting first baseman. Talbot delivers. Curveball low. Outfield, Kai Tom in left. Bradley Zimmer in center. Daniel Johnson in right. Infield, Matthias at third. He's pin high with the bag. Velasquez, the former Bull, shifts up the middle. Clement at deep second. And Bobby Bradley about 9 feet from the line at deep first. Talbot to Navarro, the battery. And the pitch on Dalton Kelly is up around the belt with a slider. 2 balls, no strikes.
That's one of the other things about this Columbus lineup. This is a defense. This is a really airtight infield. You've got a lot of good defenders in the infield and then a lot of really good arms in the outfield.
Here's the 2-0 and Talbot's pitch. Off speed again. Into the ground, ball 3. Doesn't quite have the feel for any of his breaking pitches or the changeup yet. And Talbot has been everywhere since the last time he put on a Bulls uniform about 10 years ago. Here's the 3-0 from the right-hander, and he misses high, and Dalton Kelly accepting a 4-pitch walk. So for the second inning in a row, the Bulls have a 1-out base runner ahead now of Rocky Gale and Nathan Lucas.
And this is exactly what got Durham in trouble. Game 1, game 2. Now, when Durham got in trouble, the problem was that they followed up. Columbus hit homers to follow it up. First inning, obviously, that did not happen for Durham, but here we are in the second, and again, they have a walk for a base runner.
So now Rocky Gale, who got the starting assignment tonight ahead of Mac James, because Brady Williams wanted to keep Slagers and Gale together. Gale has caught him his last 4 outings. Strike 1 at the knees on Rocky Gale. Acquired by the Rays from the LA Dodgers on the trading deadline day, July 31st. And all he's done is spray the ball all over the field. He's been the most consistent behind in the count Durham Bulls hitter over the last month and a half. There goes the runner Kelly. Hit and run on a foul splash against the screen above the Bulls dugout. Well, with the early deficits the Bulls have faced in games 1 and 2, there's been no opportunity for Brady Williams to put pressure on this Columbus pitching staff, the Columbus defense, or even their bullpen, save maybe 1 inning in last night's Game 2 loss. And Dalton Kelly is a guy who runs better than average for his size. Brady Williams has managed him over the last couple of years. Now it's an 0-2 count on Rocky Gale, who hit .323 in his final month of the regular season as a Bull. Talbot the high set, and the righty's 0-2 is up around the Adam's apple of Gale. No score, bottom 2. Calm winds, twilight skies. And 1 day away from a full moon on Friday the 13th. Kelly draws a throw, no tag from Bobby Bradley.
So game 5 would be Friday the 13th. No, game 4 would be Friday the 13th. I keep getting my Thursdays and Fridays and Wednesdays all.
Umpiring crew tonight, Dan Merzell works the plate. Chris Graham at first, Eric Backus at second, and Adam Beck at third. Both teams arrived here back in the triangle around 6 a.m. this morning. Kelly leading first base, 1-2 count. Kelly holds. The pitch on Gale, grabs the outside corner at 91. And Rocky Gale accepting the call and probably thinking to himself, I better get those calls with Aaron Slagers from the third inning on.
If you're the catcher, you tend to be a little bit more accepting of those as long as they're going to be consistent with them.
A little sinker there from Talbot, worked its way back toward the edge.
I'll put it this way: that one was borderline enough that you could see the call either way. That was on the edge of the black, maybe.
So now Nathan Lucas with 2 outs and Kelly at first base. Third baseman Matthias drawn in, edge of the grass with both big toes, and the throw goes across from Talbot. If there is the need of a game 4, it will be here tomorrow at 7:05. And then game 5, if necessary, would come up Saturday at 6:35. Talbot glove away from the shoulders, and the pitch on the way is fouled off. Fastball on Nathan Lucas, who delivered a key 2-run homer in game 2 against Scranton right here in Durham on Friday night. Part of a 4-run, 2-out rally for the Bulls. The Bulls had a pair of 2-run homers, one from Lucas, and then after a runner reached, Jake Cronenworth followed. That allowed the Bulls to separate in game 2 and led them up to Scranton with a 2-0 lead that they put away with a 17-2 win the next day. 0-1, slider under the knees. Brady Williams commenting before the game about the pulse around the Bulls clubhouse. And even on the bus ride back home last night, it was quiet. There was nobody eulogizing this season for the Bulls on the ride home last night or earlier today, walking through several times. Talbot misses wide with off speed. 2-1 on Nathan Lucas.
As we said in the pregame, this is a team that's gone through more difficult tasks and more difficult jobs to do than this. And so there's no reason for them to think that, just because they're down 0-2 that they cannot come back.
2 balls and a strike on Lucas. Kelly lead to the edge of the grass at first base, bobbing up and down. There he goes. The pitch is down and in. Ricochets around, gets wide of Navarro, and into second is Dalton Kelly with a steal.
Talk about picking the perfect pitch to run on. There was really nothing that Navarro could do on that. Even if he had fielded it cleanly, it was going to take him away from getting set up for his throw.
So a little half chance for the Bulls with 2 outs in the second. Lucas in an advantage count. And the right-handed Jim Haley, who has very good power up from Double-A Montgomery, he provides Lucas with a little bit of protection here. Scoreless game, second inning. The Bulls have not led yet in this championship. A shot to change that here. Pitch on the way to Lucas. Change up a little bit wide. And a third walk from Talbot against the first 8 batters he has seen. It has not been problematic for him yet, but this is the pattern that cost the Bulls very expensively over the first 2 days in Columbus.
And some patience from the Bulls here, which is exactly what they also need, because the other thing you're clearly doing here is you're also running up Talbot's pitch count, which you want to get into that bullpen ideally by the 5th or 6th, not by the 7th or 8th.
So now Jim Haley. And this is one of the tricky decisions for Brady Williams on who to start at second base tonight. Batting 9th in the order, right-handed hitter, and a curveball a little high that almost looked like a crossed-up Navarro. Like out of the hand, the Columbus catcher thought there was going to be a fastball up, and the glove moved down very rapidly on the descent of that Talbot curveball.
He's a vet, too. He's been crossed up once or twice before. Knows how to adjust.
Haley just came to the Bulls back on Saturday in Scranton ahead of Game 3. Here's the 1-0 pitch. And that cutter misses low on the outside corner, ball 2. As a matter of fact, how it happened, the Bulls were pulling out after Game 2 heading up to Moosic, Pennsylvania. Mike Brasso's gear, suitcase, and body was on the bus, one of the two. We got about 2 blocks away from the stadium. The bus pulled over. Brasso got off. The suitcase was off. The game bags were taken off, and he was on his way back to Tampa Bay. Swing and a miss by Haley. And then Haley joined the Bulls when they arrived up in Scranton. His year began in Port Charlotte, concluded in Double-A Montgomery. Had 38 total extra base hits, including 16 home runs, and drove in 81. And would you believe the pass list was more packed by Jim Haley's friends, family, and teammates for his first ever AAA game in Moosic because he played at Penn State.
That worked out perfect for him.
His first game was in Moosic.
How perfect is that?
Looking for his first into the championship. Right-handed hitter. 2-1 count. Talbot delivers out of the stretch, and it's a thread low. Ball 3. And the top hitter in the league, the batting champion, Jake Cronenworth, is on deck. And this inning has gotten a little bit more complicated for Talbot.
Obviously, you've got a green light here, but you need to be selective if you're Haley. You do not. A ball 4 here, bringing up the IL batting champ, is not a bad base with the base loaded. Not a bad situation if you're Durham.
Outfield plays Haley, not too deep. A little bit to the pull side. Here's the 3-1. Swings and misses. A slider from Talbot. Tempting on the outside corner, maybe a little bit wide. And the overzealous Haley expands. Full count.
Yeah, I think that would have been ball 4, but at the same time, if you're looking fastball, you maybe just did not read it out of the hand.
So the runners will get a break here. Kelly at second, Lucas at first. Lucas plenty of speed to score from first on a double. Talbot the grip. Runners go. The 3-2. A chopper down the left side, foul behind Brady Williams. Now in the first 2 games of this championship series, the Bulls pitchers have issued 9 walks. 6 have scored, and almost all of those have scored on Columbus home runs. The Clippers had issued 5 total walks, so almost half in the first couple of games. But Talbot tonight bucking that trend. 3 walks already, and a full count on Haley with 2 outs in the second. And the righty's pitch, swinging a little number foul up the right side. Still a 3-2 count. 0-0 game, second inning.
Definitely feels like an inflection point of the game. Haley struggled this inning. He's battled from behind in counts. But right now, the reality of it is that if you're Talbot right now, you have stayed out of the getting hurt for your trouble.
A read by Talbot of Navarro's sign. Kelly and Lucas ready to sprint away again. There they go in the 3-2. Just barely low, and a fist pump into the glove of Talbot. He thought that was better than the pitch that struck out Rocky Gale. Instead, it's a 4th walk, first orbit through the order for the former Bull, and Cronenworth will bat with the bases loaded. And Rigo Beltran, pitching coach for the Clippers, senses the visceral frustration by Talbot. He's heading to the mound to calm him down.
He has to, because Talbot right now is there is steam pouring out from underneath that cap, and I can't say that I really fault him. For a pitch like that looked like he located it where he wants. That's a pitch that you normally do get the call. He felt like he just got out of the inning. If you're the pitching coach, Rigo Beltran, you've got to get out there, basically settle him down and get him back refocused, because now you have one of the toughest hitters in the Bulls lineup up with the bases loaded.
And for Brady Williams and the Bulls, he's been clamoring for a moment like this. Now the question is, can the Bulls deliver the hit? Because they have not swung the bats all that well with runners in scoring position with a chance to shift either one of these first couple of games. But now here's their opportunity. And it comes to Cronenworth, who was the first Durham Bull to win a batting championship in 18 years. Cronenworth won the title by 12 points over another former Bull, Jake Elmore. Out of the stretch, first pitch on the lefty, a little wide, changeup, ball 1. And with every ensuing ball, this intimate gathering here at the DBAP on this Thursday night are applauding louder and louder. Talbot on 1-0, lifts the leg, comes home. That one is low. Ball 2. And now if you're Cronenworth, how selective are you? Is this an auto take? I doubt it.
I think this is you pick one little zone, and if it's right there, otherwise it's a take.
I think he's earned the right to lead this offense and maybe give the Bulls a second inning lead. Action in the bullpen about to begin for Columbus as Talbot disengages.
Patrick, you've seen it. How much do you think that Cronenworth's return gave a boost to this Bulls lineup?
Oh, it was immense. I think there were a lot of people on the inside who weren't quite sure what Jake Cronenworth was going to be able to give you when he came back. Here's the 2-0. Swings away, flare to left. Tom on the way in, diving forward and makes the catch. Ka'ai Tom straight in from left on a wedge by Cronenworth, laying out, diving toward the infield, landing on his chest, and the Hawaiian saves the scoreless duel. That's a 2-run single, if not for the Superman catch by Ka'ai Tom. We're done with 2 in Durham. Game 3, Governor's Cup final, still scoreless. Bulls and Clippers to the 3rd inning of Game 3 of the Governor's Cup finals. Nothing to score. And Aaron Slagers is on behind Blake Snell. And a first pitch from Slagers. Strike 1 on Ernie Clements. Snell 2 perfect innings. Striking out 3. And now the 6'10 righty Aaron Slagers. And a slider is looped on an end of the bat. Liner to center field. And there's the first base runner tonight for the Columbus Clippers.
Catcher number 17, Navarro.
Well, there's been no better pitcher in this league over the last 5 weeks than Aaron Slagers. But what a voyage he's had here in 2019. He's been DFA'd off of a big league roster 4 times this year, twice by the Rays, including once after the biggest start of the year, not only for Slagers, but for the Bulls in the final weekend of the regular season. A 191 earned run average over the month of August. Back-to-back absolute victories that the Bulls needed in the final week of the regular season in Charlotte, where he went 7 strong for a win, and then beat the Gwinnett Stripers on the penultimate day of the regular season. The next day, DFA'd, as the Rays had to clear a spot for somebody else. Breaking ball for a strike on Dionair Navarro.
They could honestly say they would not be standing here tonight if not for him.
No doubt about it. But to Slager's credit, after he was outrighted again by the Rays, as Tampa Bay basically fast-tracked Slagers through the DFA limbo as he delivers a called strike on Navarro, who went 2-11 in just 29 games in the regular season. But when every team bypassed on Slagers that Labor Day weekend, about 20 minutes before the rosters needed to be turned into the International League, there was a bit of vacillation. Would Slagers, if he clears, he was going to be the final guy on the Bulls roster. If he didn't, it was going to be Jack Lebowski, the Duke Blue Devil product.
The big Lebowski.
Yep. But Slagers cleared and was added, and then appeared in Game 3 and earned the win behind Snell's rehab appearance in Scranton last week. And it's 2-2 now on Navarro.
Nothing against Lebowski, but that was a big ad to get Slagers back for the playoff.
Well, and when Slagers came in Game 3 behind Snell, Snell left him a bases-loaded situation with a run in, and Slagers struck out on 3 pitches to get through that inning, striking out Zahner, and then went 6 more scoreless. 1 more foul by Navarro. But he has had to deal with a whole lot of baseball business adversity this year, but has just gotten better and better. Did get a brief taste of big league baseball with the Tampa Bay Rays this year. And a move to first base. Diving in is Clement.
You always think that the big guys, the big pitchers, the tall pitchers, often it takes a while for everything to come together. It's understandable. And it does seem like we're seeing that with Aaron Slegers.
2-2 counts on Navarro, switch hitter. Lead by Clement not going. The pitch slider in the dirt. Good block by Rocky Gale to his right. Well, Slagers told me really late in the regular season when we were kind of breaking down his year and what changed from June, July to how he was throwing in August and then early September. And he said it was basically some introspection when he went back home for the All-Star break and kind of self-analyzed how he got hitters out consistently a year or 3 ago. Runner goes, pitches wide, and that's ball 4. And Navarro draws a walk. Clement to second base. And some immediate trouble for Slagers in his opening inning tonight. Scoreless game in the third. First 2 are on ahead of Connor Maribel. But Slagers opted to go back more to his four-seam fastball and his cutter. He felt he'd become too sinker-slider heavy. And the league did not react very well to Slagers when he came back with a couple of pitches that frankly had been on the shelf for a while. And it has given Slagers a whole new level of confidence. But he knows what's at stake here. A win for the Bulls, the season is extended. A loss for Durham tonight in their quest to become just the second International League team to win 3 straight Governor's Cup comes to an end. 0-0, third inning. Maribel, left-handed hitter. Corners on the grass. Kelly at first, Padlow at third. They expect a bunt. No sign of it. Chopper to second base. Backhand Haley. Flip Cronenworth. Relay doubles up Maribel. And a big 4-6-3 double play received by Slagers. And the first real question mark managerially by Tony Mansolino, not electing to bunt with his number 9 hitter. Runner at third, 2 outs.
Big double play for Durham, but also for Slagers there, because you have a momentum switch here. You know, because the reality is that the Bulls were so close to breaking this game open. A hit there, and all of a sudden it completely flips. Now 1 more out, and they're out of it.
Yeah, here's Kai Tom, slider down and in. Now back to that catch that we just saw miraculously turned in by Kai Tom, the 25-year-old. He's out of St. Louis High School out in Honolulu, the same high school that produced Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And he looked like a safety trying to pick him off with an absolutely stunning catch, charging in hard from left field to Rob Cronenworth.
Made the right call to lay out for it, obviously, but if he does not get that ball's going for quite a ways, and it's easily going to score 2. It might have cleared the bases.
1-1 count on Tom. Slagers out of the stretch, high leg kick and a fastball tardy swing, and Tom sends it to the roof, third base side. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
When Tom was coming out of college, there was a lot of questions of, is he going to be able to play second base because he's a little shorter. He was always an outfielder, and it seems like the Indians and Tom have made the right call to keep him out there. Nice catch.
Ball and 2 strikes. Slagers trying to return momentum to the Bulls. Here's the pitch on Tom. Oh, he had a notion on chasing that slider. Good block by Gale, and a solid take by Kai Tom, whose first name, by the way, is Blaze. His given first name.
If my first name was Blaze and I'm a baseball player, I'm going with
Stick
Blaze.
with Blaze, okay.
So, that's a good name for a baseball player. Blaze Alexander, there are a couple.
2-2. Outfield straightaway, not too deep. The pitch on Tom, swing and a miss. Knocked down by Gale. Locates, throws up the line. Inning over. And Slagers pitches around a couple of leadoff base runners. But the big decision not to bunt with Maribel may have cost Columbus in the third inning. Middle of Game 3 of the Governor's Cup Finals. Columbus nothing, Durham nothing. But this is not like a boxing match where guys are just simply circling one another in the ring. I mean, there have been some body blows absorbed. Some have landed, just not yet for runs. We've seen a huge defensive play by Kai Tom, splashing down on his landing on a diving catch with the bases loaded to end the second. And a clutch double play ball induced by Aaron Slagers to extinguish what was going to be a potentially pretty filthy top of the third. Bonifacio begins the bottom of the third for Durham. 2, 3, and 4 in the order. Ball 1 upstairs from Talbot. And the right-hander's pitch on Bonifacio. A low liner slice toward the left field corner, foul. Bangs in and out to the John Deere bullpen area. Collected by Tom. And tosses toward his bullpen.
And that bullpen has quieted down after a little bit of action in the Columbus bullpen lasted.
Well, that was a 28-pitch second inning by Talbot, which witnessed 3 walks, but he stranded them all with help. Fastball wide on Bonifacio. Now the question immediately in the forefront for Talbot is, where's his mind as he comes back out for this 3rd inning? Gets underneath the breaking ball there and falls behind 3-1. He didn't have the best location of his stuff, and then was miffed with the home plate umpire Dan Merzel, and it took Tom's heroics out in left field to keep the Bulls off the board. Has he had enough time to calm himself down? 3-1, a swing and a hard ground ball to first by the dive of Bradley. Down the right side, Bonifacio makes the turn. He wants 2. Johnson throw on the way, on a hop, it's late. And Bonifacio, for the 2nd time in this series, a hustle double under Bradley's glove down the line.
Hustle double, and does that again against one of the better right field arms in this league. He had to hustle. If he didn't hustle on that, it was a good throw. But pops up when he pops up and he claps his hands. He wants to kind of get this Bulls team fired up. He wants to be starting something here.
Well, that is precisely what Bonifacio did in Game 1 of the 5th inning off of Michael Peoples. That came with 1 out and a guy on. But here it's a leadoff double for Bonifacio. Now Coates slaps on the ground the other way. Diving stop. Clement gets to his feet, saves a run, and throws out Coates. Beautiful glove stop by Ernie Clement, who was magical defensively in Game 1 in Columbus, especially with one highlight you may have seen on SportsCenter on a 4.63 with his stop up the middle and a behind-the-back flip to Velasquez. Here to sprints to his left, lays out, got the glove on it. As Bonifacio goes to 3rd, Coates retired.
Just so smooth there. I mean, because again, that ball gets through, that's a run. But on top of that, he makes the catch and then just pops up and calms down. Didn't overrush it, didn't overthrow it, just, okay, get the out.
All right, infield now comes in. Talbot's going to work out of the windup with a runner at 3rd and 1 out. First pitch is swinging and a miss by Cousins on a fastball with some tailing action. So the question now for the Bulls becomes, this is their best shot at taking a lead at any point in this Governor's Cup championship. You have an all-or-nothing offensive batter in Dylan Cousins. He can give you a 2-0 lead, or Talbot can get the strikeout that he covets. Here's the 0-1, and Cousins takes outside. So this is a very important AB. I would say much more so for the Bulls than it is for Columbus.
And the first 2 pitches, they're trying to entice him to expand his zone.
And Talbot out of the wind. A check at 3rd. Here's the 1-1. Bounced it in. Blocked off of the chest by Navarro, holding Bonifacio.
And give Cousins credit here. He knows what they're trying to do. First 3 pitches, he did chase a little bit. Fastball tailed out of the zone on the first pitch. But the next 2 pitches after that, they've gone out of the zone. He is held up. And now that has put him in a position to maybe get a pitch that he can do something with.
All right, a 2-1 count on Dylan Cousins. Bulls angling for their first lead of the championship. The wind and the 2-1, a swing and a soft little bouncer in front of home with spin. It's picked up fair by the catcher Navarro and throws out Cousins, who never released the bats. Jogged all the way down the line, bat still in his hand. And a good play by Navarro, because if he lets that ball take a second small bounce in front of home, it spins back foul. And Navarro stood in between the ball and the line, and he was able to make the play.
Dylan Cousins is one of the strongest hitters you're ever going to see. He can hit a ball 450 feet. Right there, he was retired on a ball that I think went about 1.5 feet.
Yep. So now 2 outs. Leaves it in the lap of Kevin Padlow. 0-0 game, 3rd inning. Now watch Bonifacio at 3rd base. Talbot still is coming out of the windup. Matthias not terribly close to the 3rd base bag as Padlow takes low. I say that for a couple of reasons. Bonifacio, even still at the age of 34, one of the most electric base runners you'll find. Talbot's out of the windup, and we've seen Talbot bounce in several pitches these last couple of innings. If anything remotely gets away from Navarro, Bonifacio will break home. Gets a big secondary lead down the line, and Padlow takes inside Fastball crowds him.
I got to love, Emilio Bonifacio is so into this, which, yes, it's a playoff game. That said, Emilio Bonifacio's had a lengthy MLB career. There are guys who could look at it as like, yeah, whatever. I've been in the majors. He is absolutely locked in and is trying to be the guy, the leader for this team, to kind of inspire them to take a lead.
2-0 pitch, swing by Padlo, liner to short, clears Velasquez, drops in left center field, and the Bulls have their first lead of the championship as Bonifacio scores. It is 1-0 Durham in Game 3 as Padlo got an end-of-the-bat looper over the springing Velasquez at shortstop.
Velasquez is not the tallest shortstop in the world, but he'd have had to be about 8 feet tall to have a chance at that one. Good job of Padlo has the strength, as you said, off the end of the bat, but he's strong enough that instead of it being a bleeder to the shortstop, it's a bleeder 10 feet over.
And Bonifacio, a mild celebration coming down the line toward the plate. Throw on the runner, Padlo. So it took 2 full games and 3 innings before the wild card Durham Bulls take their first lead in this championship. But a lead it is. And finally a bit of pressure applied by Brady Williams' Bulls against Columbus. Soft bouncing ball hit by Kelly, trickles out to second base. Clement halfway in makes the stop and throws out Kelly. But after Cousins tapped out to the catcher with the infield end, Padlo picks up the Bulls. A single to left center, bringing in Bonifacio, and the Bulls have their first lead. Done with 3 in Game 3. Bulls 1, Clippers nothing. Bulls and Clippers head to the 4th inning. Durham with a 1-0 lead thanks to a 2-out stroking single to left center by Padlo. Bringing in the ever-hustling Emilio Bonifacio. So Slagers has Durham's first lead, and now this is a very important shutdown inning for the 6'10" Indiana Hoosier. First pitch swinging Velasquez, skies one to deep center field. Playable for Lucas. Retreats about 3 steps and makes the catch. We know Velasquez, despite the diminutive size, has very good pop from both sides of the plate, but that pitch was elevated by Slagers and tough for Velasquez to get on top of.
I was going to say, he did hit it very hard. That ball hung up and hung up and hung up, but he also hit it too high. That's where you wanted to put that pitch. Make it tempting, make it look like something appetizing to hit, but there really wasn't much of anything you could do with it.
And now the other reason this 4th inning is very important is where Slagers is in this Columbus lineup. Bradley Zimmer. Fastball up around the letters at 87. Bobby Bradley on deck. I think the Bulls are always going to have to honor the potential bunt by Bradley Zimmer based on what we saw last night as he gets underneath the fastball and fouls it off 1-1.
Which is smart on his part, because now what he's done is he's taken them away from, they still are shifted, but they have to leave the third baseman over, which is not where they would want to put him otherwise.
Zimmer bounced out his first time up. Slager's tiny wind, high kick, and the pitch on Zimmer, a belled high fastball, missed it. I mean, generally you see a guy 6'10" on the mound, you're thinking plus velo. It's never been the case with Aaron Slagers. But he now has kind of embraced his stuff and how to get hitters out. Ball and 2 strikes. The pitch on the way to Zimmer. Fastball again, up and in. Pop foul toward the bullpen. Running it down is Padlo. It went backed up off of the grass when Zimmer got a couple of strikes, and that gave him enough territory to cover to run that foul pop-up down toward the left field line bullpen.
I take it back. By bunting yesterday, they left him over there, which allowed him to make an excellent play. The hustle that Padlo showed there, by the way, as soon as that ball was hit, he took off like a shot, and it's the only way he gets to that ball. He is at full speed right away, and 2 outs.
And now Bobby Bradley in a missile in and out of the first row of stands. Just past where the screen ends at the end of the Bulls dugout. Strike 1.
As you said before, this is the guy you want up with no one on if you're the Durham Bulls.
So the second time the Bulls have seen Bradley tonight, the second time he's batted with the bases empty, and Slager spins a slider down. Now Slager's, as I mentioned, at 6'10". His dad is 7 feet tall. That's where he gets his height. Pitch from Slager, swing and a miss. Grew 7 inches between his junior and senior years of high school. That led to some body shifting that he wasn't quite ready for, some pain, and as a result, he really didn't pitch much in his last year and had to walk on to the Hoosier program in the Big Ten. Slager's inside, 2-2.
His dad would have been, if his dad had made it to the majors, his dad would have been the tallest pitcher of all time.
Yep.
Slager just has to settle for being one of the tallest pitchers in the Major League Baseball history.
2-2 pitch. In the dirt again with a Slager's slider, full count. Bulls have a Haley standing about 40 feet out in the right field grass toward the line. Padlow, the third baseman, is 88 feet away from the third base line. Outfield, meanwhile, straight away. 3-2 to Bradley. Big pitch. It's outside, a changeup. And Bradley takes his 4th walk of this championship series. And he's on as the tying run with 2 outs ahead of Mathias.
I will note, they did not leave Padlow over there for Bobby Bradley bunting, because if Bobby Bradley bunts, you consider that a win all the way around. They have been very careful pitching to Bradley tonight, and again, that makes sense because he is a guy who can tie this up with one swing very easily.
Now Mathias only 1 of 8 so far in the championship. Right-handed hitter, a well-located slider. 0-1. Bulls 1, Clippers 0. Top of the 4th. I mean, this Durham Bulls crowd tonight plugged in like a neon sign at a bar. Buzzing. Slider pop foul over our heads up the first baseline. Strike 2. PCL Championship has a travel day today. Sacramento defended the home field, winning each of the first 2 games. Series shifts to Round Rock tomorrow for games 3 and then 4 and 5 if necessary. Tiny lead by Bradley. 0-2 from Slagers is low, and Rocky Gale presented that pretty well, but is clearly off the outside corner. Seven, 8, and 9 are due in the bottom of the 4th for the Bulls, hoping to have a chance to build on a 1-0 lead. 1-2 from Slagers. Sinks it at the bottom of the knee, strike 3. Unhappy Mathias. Dan Merzell liked it well enough. And Slagers does the job, the shutdown inning after the Bulls grab the lead. No runs, no hits, just a 2-out walk to Bradley. Done with 3.5. Bulls lead the Clippers 1-0. Two-out run scoring single by Kevin Padlow has staked the Bulls to a 1-run cushion as we reach the bottom of the 4th inning. Snell went 2 perfect. Slagers has pitched around 3 base runners over his 2 innings, but shut down the Clippers. And Rocky Gale climbs into the right-handed box to begin this 4th inning. Right-on-right matchup. Goes down, hits a 2-hopper toward the hold short. Caught off by Mathias, the third baseman, and the wheeling throw on target. And Rocky Gale retired. And that's a terrific play by Mathias. Ranging left, sticking the glove right in front of Andrew Velasquez, crisscrossing behind him.
Again, you've got basically 3 guys here who, third base, shortstop, and second base, all athletic, all with really good hands, good body control. I actually think Clement may be the best of the 3, but they're all 3 are very comfortable out there in the dirt.
All right, 1 pitch, 1 out. And now Nathan Lucas. Walked in the second inning. Talbot has issued 4 so far and gets beneath the curveball. 1 ball with no strikes. Talbot, as the ball gets returned back to him, takes another shadow follow-through of the snapping of that curve. Here's the 1-0. Breaking ball much better that time. Strike 1.
It worked.
Yeah. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ken Schnacky, the longtime general manager of the Columbus Clippers, is here along with many members of the Clippers front office. Here's the 1-1 from Talbot. Inside, and Lucas just ripping away that front elbow to avoid some contact. Ball 2.
They would be anyway, but you don't have many opportunities if you're most teams. The Bulls
Yep.
may be the exception on this. You've got a chance to celebrate. You want to make sure you're here for that.
Well, I think for the Bulls, it's now a line item in their
Yeah.
annual budget for travel fees in September as Lucas takes a strike.
It really
But
should be.
But he was telling me a neat story before the game about how loved that Mitch Talbot is in Columbus and in the Indians organization. Again, he's been back and forth with the Indians several times. The overshift now on Lucas before a 2-2 pitch, and now Lucas calls time. But earlier this season, Talbot's parents were celebrating a 40th wedding anniversary. The Clippers, to the surprise of Mitch Talbot, flew in Mitch's parents, and his dad threw out a ceremonial first pitch that Talbot caught before the game. Pop foul just into the stands off the first base side. Out of room is Bradley. Still 2-2 on Lucas.
Mitch Talbot's made an impact on multiple teams, multiple AAA teams for that matter.
Yeah, and again, if you have followed along after Talbot's time with the Tampa Bay Rays organization, again, he made his debut in the big leagues with Tampa Bay. But with the Bulls here for 3 years, part of 3 teams that reached the Governor's Cup Finals. One of them won it. And he pitched for Columbus in the Governor's Cup a couple of years after that. Pop on a play by Lucas. But he pitched in Korea for 2 different teams. Samsung in 2012. Hanwha 3 years later. Pitched for the Long Island Ducks in the Atlantic League. Pitched for Sugarland in 2017, 2018, and again earlier this year. And missed all of 2016 with an injury. But just never giving up. 2-2 into the dirt. Full count on Lucas.
Not only never giving up, but also a guy who's really seen the world. You know, it had quite the career.
Yep. And all for a guy who he's not been in the big league since 2011. It's been 8 years. Here's the 3-2, and that is on the inside corner, and Lucas knew it. Little sinker there from Talbot, and he has the first 2 outs in an inning for the first time tonight.
He's not been getting the borderline call. If he didn't get that call, we may have seen some true ugliness, because that one was, Glenn Lucas knew it. But that was quite obvious that that was strike 3.
So 2 outs now, and here is Jim Haley. Through the third of the 3 second inning walks by Talbot. And the first pitch there is a curveball, loops in, top of the zone, strike 1. But Talbot was walking the plank over the shark-infested water in that second inning with those 3 walks. But Kai Tom made a splashing catch of a looper by Cronenworth as Haley takes a fastball off of the arm. Talbot hits him, and a 2-out base runner in the Durham 4th inning.
And with that, Talbot, again, he has yet to have a clean inning.
And Talbot now 67 pitches through 3 2/3. Again, tonight is the first game Talbot's thrown in 10 days. They did not use him at all in the 4-game semifinal win over Gwinnett. Rigo Beltran, pitching coach for the Clippers, told me before the game tonight that Kyle Dowdy would go if there is a game for tomorrow. Brady Williams said before the game to me that the Bulls are still uncertain. Off-speed load. Michael Plasmeyer would seem to make the most sense. But again, Plasmeyer, outside of throwing an inning on Labor Day up from the lower levels and throwing against a couple of batters against Columbus in Game 1, it's a big ask.
That's a humongous ask.
But the other question is, what are the other options? But the Bulls are weighing that if they get through tonight's game. Cronenworth takes a slider inside.
You do kind of wonder with what are the other options. Part of what's going on tonight may open up more options.
Two balls and no strikes on Cronenworth. At first is Haley. The pitch bounces in, kicks far to the left of Navarro. Back to the on-deck circle on the left. Rounding second and a holding is Haley on a wild pitch from Talbot. I mean, he's been toying with that most of the night. That's the first official wild pitch, but Navarro has blocked probably 8 or 9 balls in the dirt prior to that one.
He's blocked everything before that, and that one, it just hit as wrong as it could off of a shin guard or something where it kicked off, and as soon as it hit, there was no way that you were going to throw him out.
Now, I know this is not a bases-loaded situation for Cronenworth, but the top hitter in the league is up with a chance where a single makes it a 2-0 game. The wild pitch, important. And the 3-0 delivery is high, and Cronenworth draws a 4-pitch walk. And that will bring Bonifacio to the plate for Durham. 1-0 Bulls. Bonifacio scored the game's only run. And again, to go back to last inning, it was a hard hit smash under Bradley's glove as he dove to his right. As Navarro heads to the mound, and action will begin for a second time behind Talbot. Rigo Beltran is just now climbing the dugout steps, so he'll pay a visit to Talbot. But Bonifacio is the guy who came in on Padlo's base hit. And you brought up Bonifacio and just his energizing appearance on the field here today.
It's like no one wants to be here more tonight. No one wants to win this game more than Emilio Bonifacio, which again, yes, you can say, oh, I expect that. But at the same time, I give credit to a guy who's seen a little bit of everything, who's been around the game for more than a decade, a long time in the big leagues. He's not looking at this as, oh, woe is me, I'm in AAA. He's looking at it as, yeah, let's get an International League title.
Well, let's flesh this out a little bit, because there are a couple of things, if you're out there watching or listening and you have access to the internet, as the home plate umpire Dan Merzel goes out to break out the meeting. When the Bulls found out that they clinched the wild card, after Durham had lost on Labor Day, Charlotte and Norfolk were still in extra innings. The Bulls had to have Norfolk win. They rallied to take the lead, and then were tied up. Bottom of the 10th, you can go on the Durham Bulls Instagram or Twitter, I believe it's on Facebook as well, as about 25 guys in uniform are in the clubhouse watching on a laptop the finish to that Norfolk game. And when Reinheimer got the base hit to win it for the Tides, putting Durham in the playoffs, you watch the reaction of all the Bulls players. Bonifacio is about as excited as anybody in that room as he takes a low curveball. He's ready to celebrate, has the plastic goggles on for the champagne shower, but he's jumping up and down. This is a guy who's made over $15 million in his major league career, over 7 years big league service time, but he's never played in the postseason in the major leagues. Here's the 1-0, and Talbot throws him a strike. The other comment I'd make to this, and this is something that Scott Pose and I had talked about quite a bit as August was playing through. Bonifacio had a tremendous July, a tremendous August, got in the lineup regularly. And you figure that if the Rays wanted a speed guy off of their bench in the stretch run for the wild card, Bonifacio was probably going to be the guy. Here's the 1-1. It's inside. But along comes Johnny Davis out of nowhere from the Mexican leagues, signed by the Rays, brought here to Durham for a couple of days, barely did anything, and they pinch ran once. And he's in the big leagues for the first time in his career, and Bonifacio is still here. And then you still see the energy that we've seen tonight from Bonifacio. Tells you everything you need to know about Bonifacio. Swing and a miss, 2-2.
What it also tells you, there's a lot of 34-year-olds who are no longer playing the game.
Yeah.
And the 34-year-olds who are playing the game are the Mitch Talbots and the Emilio Bonifacios of the world. It's the guys who you're like, yeah, we absolutely want that guy in our clubhouse.
Yeah. Just the respect that he has shown for the game, for himself, for his teammates, for his coaching staff. And he has now a chance to double this lead. First and second, 2 outs. Talbot on 2-2 brings it home, and Bonifacio lifts it out to center field. Playable for Zimmer, coasting to his left, and now back one step, and makes the two-handed catch to win the inning. A 2-out uprising by the Bulls with a hit by pitch and a walk quelled by Talbot. We're done with 4. Bulls 1, Clippers nothing. Fifth inning from downtown Durham. Game 3, Governor's Cup Finals. Bulls trail 2-0, but do own a thin 1-0 lead as Slager's back out for the 5th. And he draws the inside corner below the belt on Daniel Johnson. Johnson fanned as the last batter Blake Snell faced tonight. Snell retired all 6, 3 on strikes. 0-2 as Johnson belts away a slider. Game's only run on a Padlow 2-out single in the third. And the 0-2 from Slagers. Changeup bounced in. Now Aaron Slagers, to put it into context, just how dominating and elite he has been in this league over the last, let's just say, 2.5, 3 weeks. He's been solid for the last 6. Line drive right off the pole, holding the screen up at the end of the Bulls dugout. Thankful that pole was there. Otherwise, that's a heat seeker into the stands in a crowded section. 0-2 strikes on Johnson. And the pitch on the way from Slagers down, 2-2. So in the final week of the regular season, where the Bulls had no margin for error, they gave the ball to Slagers in Charlotte in a game that they had to win. Swinging a foul tip held on by Gale. And Johnson down on strikes. That's 3 now from Slagers. Slagers in Charlotte, and as most everybody following Durham Bulls baseball, and especially J.J. Cooper knows, that is the best, most optimal offensive park in this league.
That is a dream if you're a hitter.
And Slagers was pitching for the first time in 11 days. There's strike 1 on Clements. He went 7 innings, gave up 2 runs, both on solo home runs. That was it. Came back out on the Sunday of Labor Day weekend in another must-win game for the Bulls. Strike 2 by Clement. And with Duvall, with Riley in that Gwinnett lineup, yep, he allowed 1 run in 7 innings and earned another win. And then behind Snell on Saturday in Scranton, 6 1/3 innings, no runs. And tonight, so far, 2 scoreless innings. So just over those last 4 games, fastball hacked out into right center field. Cousins to his right, and he calls off Lucas and makes the catch. Medium right center field. Clement spanks one out to right center. 2 away. But when you bottle up all 4 of those games, Aaron Slagers, who, again, you look at his across-the-year numbers, certainly not all that wonderful looking. But when you break it down, those last 4 games, his earned run average is barely over 1 in must-win absolute games for the Bulls. I mean, you make 1 mistake, you're not here. That's just how valuable that Slagers has been and continues to be. Strike 1 on Dioner Navarro.
And as you said, in that 6 1/3 in his last outing, it's not just 6 1/3. He came in with the bases loaded, 2 out.
Up and away on Navarro, 1-1.
1 mistake there, and
yeah, well, the Bulls had scored 4 in the top of the first for Snell. And Snell gave up a couple of hits, couple of walks, left with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Slagers came in facing the go-ahead run. And in his mind, mentally preparing to pitch the second inning, not come in with traffic in the first. Here's the 1-2 on Navarro. Tried to check his swing. They appealed to third, and he did hold back 2-2.
Which, let's don't underemphasize that. If you are used to being a starter, coming in with the bases loaded, oh, here's your first pitch, is a very different experience.
2-2 on Navarro. A swing and a high fly ball. Broken bat toward the Durham bullpen. Cousins races over and traverses over that line and couldn't get there in time. Lands foul. Still 2-2 on Navarro. Now, let's just say that the Bulls become the first team in International League history to come back from 2-0 down and win a Governor's Cup. It's never been done since the Bulls turned into a AAA franchise in the IL. Next Tuesday is Slagers' day to pitch. There's a pop-up foul on left side of the infield. Padlow, midway between second and third, makes the catch. And another casual, perfect inning for Aaron Slagers. Middle of 5, Durham leads Columbus 1-0. Well, a near full moon on this Thursday night in the Bull City. I'm going to call it 98.6% full. Full moon is tomorrow, which is also Friday the 13th. So while this is a 1-0 game at the bottom of the 5th on September the 12th, tomorrow we might be playing a 20-18 game. Full moon, Friday the 13th. Dogs and cats living together, complete chaos. Bottom 5, Coates, Cousins, and Padlow. And what will very likely be Mitch Talbot's final inning against the Bulls. Left-handed action behind him as this fifth begins. First pitch on Coates, a four-seamer, outer half, strike one.
He's dodged, he's weaved,
Yep.
he's survived. One run after 4 innings. It's been a good outing for Talbot.
Although he has walked 5 over 4 innings, that has not bothered him yet. 1-1 on Coates. Now, one roster move the Clippers did make after last night's game. The closer the Bulls saw last night has been called up by the Indians. Pitch outside, 2-1 on Coates. And that's a good sign for Durham. James Karinchak was in the upper 90s with his fastball, the mid 80s with his curveball last night. He's striking out more hitters than any pitcher per 9 innings in baseball. As that pitch is high from Talbot.
You can describe him as unhittable because he is unhittable. Now, he'll walk you sometimes, but he does not give up hits.
3 balls and a strike. Here's the pitch on the way, and Coates sends a fly ball out to center field, hangs up, Zimmer across, a conventional slide, under control, makes the catch, and Coates retired to begin the 5th inning.
I like how you described that. It was a controlled slide. That was not a layout in desperation. That was it's just going to be easier for me to catch this as I slide along.
So Coates out, number 1. The left-hander is ready, but Dylan Cousins will face Talbot for a 3rd time. I would imagine that lefty is getting ready to face Dalton Kelly, who would be due up 4th in this inning. Clement, the second baseman, out in the right field grass as Cousins takes off-speed low. Jared Robinson has been added to the Clippers roster. Now, the Bulls saw Robinson. He was a call-up from A-ball back in June and threw exceptionally well against the Bulls. And a breaking ball grounded foul toward the Durham dugout. After that singular appearance by Robinson, he was sent back by the Indians, but he did earn a promotion. Went to Double-A Akron and pitched awfully well there. So Robinson added to the pitching staff for Columbus. He's a right-hander. And here's the windup and the 1-1 from the righty Talbot, and that's at the belt, but called ball 2. Cousins struck out with the man on the first. Tapped out right in front of home to Navarro with the infield in, and Bonifacio at third in the 3rd inning. Here's the 2-1 downstairs.
Cousins is a 3 true outcome hitter. Strikeouts, home runs, walks. That's not a whole lot of time getting the fielders involved.
3-1 on Cousins. Padlow next. The wind by Talbot and the pitch. A changeup on 3-1, and that had some wicked movement. Cousins way out ahead of it. Arm action still solid. That's the best changeup we've seen from Talbot all night.
He saved it for a good spot.
Full count on Cousins. Ton of room on the left side of the infield. And the pitch from Talbot had Cousins fooled. He waited back on another off-speed pitch and was able to get the handle of the bat to it. Cousins was all loaded up for a fastball that about half the way home he thought was coming, and then he recognized it was another off-speed pitch from Talbot and somehow kept the hands slowing through the zone to get a piece.
He wants a fastball, but the thing is Talbot knows that he wants a fastball, and Diner Navarro knows he wants a fastball.
3-2. There it is, and it's up at the shoulders. And a 6th walk of the night from Talbot. But Padlow, a righty, is up. That's probably going to give Talbot one more hitter. But Dylan Cousins draws a walk. He's on for the first time. And the lefty set in the bullpen for Columbus. We'll take a few more tosses. Now, Talbot's been on the injured list a couple of times here late in the season with some lower back issues. Just activated before Labor Day when he made his final appearance of the regular season. Pitch on Padlow through the outer third, strike 1. But he's generally been in that 80 to 90 pitch range most of the year. He's cleared 100 pitches a couple of times. And he's about ready to make number 90 tonight.
Matthias now guarding the line, trying to take away the double, knowing that that's the thing that could really hurt them in this situation.
Zimmer about a half dozen steps into left center field. Talbot on 0-1. And a top of the zone fastball outside corner. Padlow disagrees with a strike call. And Talbot is up 0-2. Cousins at first base. Now he's another guy. I actually met him in person after that, or during the clubhouse celebration when the Bulls won the wild card. He'd been here a couple of days, and he's jumping around just like everybody else. Easy throw to first base on Cousins.
If you've been in the rehab world all year, this is is heaven. I mean, that is Groundhog Day. Every day. What day is it? Is it Tuesday?
Yeah.
Is it Saturday? Who knows?
No celebrations like that in extended. 2-strike count on Padlow. Room on the right side of the infield. Clement plays up the middle and just right of the bag. Cousins good lead. Not going in the 0-2, and Padlow swings and misses a changeup. And Talbot has saved his finest straight changes of this entire game for this inning. And here comes Tony Mansolino, the manager for the Clippers. And with Dalton Kelly due, Mansolino will end Talbot's nights and call for the left-hander. So Padlow down on strikes. And the Bulls have a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the fifth. So Mitch Talbot departs. I would imagine should get a fair bit of applause if these fans remember the history of Talbot in a Bulls uniform. And who knows where this is as far as his career, whether this is it, whether there's more. But he can be proud of the effort he puts together here. And what a perfect bookend this would be to begin here with the Rays, get to the big leagues with Tampa Bay, and perhaps close it out here in Durham. Pitching change from the DBAP. It's 1-0 Bulls. Kelly is up when we return. Josh Smith on for the second time in this championship. Left-hander on the 40 for the Indians. He threw an inning and 2/3 and struck out 4 Bulls in Game 1 back on Tuesday. And he will face Dalton Kelly with Cousins at first base and 2 outs. Kelly an infield single against Smith back on Tuesday night. Left on left, first pitch. Swings at an inside fastball, pops it out of play. Smith 8-1 over 41 appearances this year, an earned run average of 273. Darren earned 6 saves, 74 strikeouts, and 52 2/3 innings of work. He's out of Wichita State. And the left-hander out of the stretch. 0-1 on Kelly. Almost hit him. How did it miss him? Heading toward the front shoulder and neck area of Kelly. But like a rubber man, he yanked himself out of the batter's box without contact.
And not only that, Smith has that low arm angle where that ball had to feel like it was coming from almost behind him as he got out of the way of it.
Ball and a strike.
Nice
reaction. Pitch. Breaking ball popped up out of play, left side. 1-2. Bulls with a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the fifth. Just 2 hits for Durham, 1 for Columbus. Smith about 3.5 months removed from his major league debut. Here's the 1-2, got him swinging. High slider. Again, started that pitch toward the front shoulder of Dalton Kelly, broke it to the inner half, and strikes out the Bulls' first baseman to end the inning. So we are done with 5 in Game 3. Bulls still clinging to a 1-0 lead on the Clippers. Aaron Slagers has allowed the only Columbus hit of the night to the very first batter he faced. Blake Snell went the first 2 innings in perfect form. Slagers allowed a base hit to Ernie Clement. to begin the third inning. A walk ensued, but then Maribel not dropping a bunt down, swung away, bounced into a double play, and that has begun a string for Aaron Slagers, retiring to 8 of 9, and he carries a 1-0 lead into the sixth. Patrick Keenis alongside the executive editor of Baseball America, J.J. Cooper. Game 3, Governor's Cup Championship Series. Game 4 would be tomorrow at 7:05. And here is Connor Maribel. Seems like it's been 3 hours since we've seen him bat. And he takes high from Slagers, ball 1. Maribel, left-handed hitter, was a pinch hitter in last night's Game 2 win for Columbus. And hikes one foul down the left side, 1-1. Maribel out of the University of Jacksonville down in Florida. Up and down to the Clippers a couple of times this year. He gets tied up on that little cutter from Slagers. Foul out of play again, 1-2. And against Slagers, knows his strength. He knows he's not going to throw 93, 95 by you, but he's executing every pitch. He's just calculating through like a college professor. 1-2 pitch is popped up, foul grounds. Padlow giving it a run again, over by the tarp and about 4 rows deep.
He's not going to throw 94. He's not going to throw it by you that way. But at the same time, he's really good at going up and down. He's 6'10". That helps. But he'll take that fastball up above the zone sometimes, or up in the zone. Mm-hmm. And that slider, he can get it down too. So he's elevating. He's changing eye levels. It's not been a couple at bats for the Columbus Clippers.
And a lot of soft contact so far against Slagers. Fastball soft little liner up the middle near the bag. Fielded by Cronenworth, and a sidearm throw with plenty on it. Retires Maribel. Well, that's good to see for a couple of reasons. Another well-executed pitch in from Slagers, but finally seeing Cronenworth get after some throws. He made a poor one last night that bounced past Dalton Kelly on a really routine play. And Cronenworth made sure this had plenty on it, and it was right in the center of the bullseye.
And Jake Cronenworth is not someone who getting something on a throw should be a problem for, because as we see when he goes out there to the mound, he has an exceptional arm.
1 out, nobody on. Change up tails wide on Kai Tom. Bulls up 1-0 in the sixth. On the grass at third is Padlow, and Slagers wide with a slider. Ball 2. Tom drafted 4 years ago out of the University of Kentucky. It's a long way from Honolulu, but he was an all-SEC player there and a Double-A All-Star this year. Smokes one down the first baseline, foul right past former Bull Kyle Hudson. He was a player with the Bulls about, 6 or 7 years ago, now a coach on this Columbus side. That's a guy who can run out of the University of Illinois.
Mm-hmm. The fact that Tom was at Kentucky 4 years ago now is depressing to me. It feels like it was yesterday.
2-1 from Slagers. Wide, ball 3. Now again, as well as Slagers has thrown, as well as the Bulls have defended, you put anybody on at the top of the order. Tom's a guy who can run a little bit, but you're getting into that Bobby Bradley territory in this lineup. And with a 1-run lead, that is far from safe. Foul tip to the backstop fills the count.
Not only that, but I know Bradley Zimmer's working back from injury, but you're talking about Bradley Zimmer, who's got some power as well and has some MLB experience to go with it.
Full count, so an important pitch here for Slagers. Here it comes, and Tom pulls it with some topspin down the right side. That's a fair ball. Into the corner. Tom cuts the corner on his way to second. It played out of the corner by Cousins. Screeching to a halt past second is Kai Tom. And the tying run is in scoring position with 1 out in the sixth for Columbus on a double to right by Tom.
First 2 times Tom comes to the plate, strikeout, strikeout. Third time he comes to the plate, he is the tying run, and you are right. He wanted to go 3 on that, but at the same time, you do not want him to get thrown out there. It is wise to pull him up there.
So now the first moment of higher leverage for Aaron Slagers. Swinging at first pitch. Velasquez sends a fly ball to deep center field. Lucas back to the track by the wall. He won't get it. Ball hits off the base of the wall. Holding at second was Tom. He won't score. Velasquez has doubled. Tom gets to third and no further. So back-to-back doubles. And in a baseball rarity, it does not produce a run. Second and third for Columbus with 1 out as Velasquez knocks a double off the bottom of the center field wall.
I know it seems strange that Tom didn't score. You got a guy who can run, who did not score on a double, but at the same time, this was a catchable ball probably. I mean, if you look at it, his angle was he went back and then over, but if he'd have taken a more direct route, if you're Tom, you cannot get thrown out there. So I get why he is only standing at third base.
All right, here is Zimmer, middle infield back, fastball upstairs from Slager's ball one. And now suddenly the drum beat of the Columbus Clippers in the sixth inning with Bobby Bradley on deck. So by far the toughest moment of the night for Slagers and the Bulls. Pitch on Zimmer is high. 2 balls, no strikes. And if you can somehow figure out a way to retire Zimmer, you can pitch around Bobby Bradley. But Slagers is now behind Zimmer 2-0. Bulls 1, Clippers nothing, but a major threat for Columbus. Slagers on 2-0, the delivery right past him. Kept it elevated just above the belt buckle, and it's 2-1. Well, this is a moment now where Aaron Slagers needs to lean on this renewed confidence and the tremendous run he's been on for the last couple of months. Rocky Gale puts the sign down. And the 2-1 from Slagers, fouled off, a fastball in the same spot. 88, out over the plate, but up. And now we'll see if Brady Williams changes his defensive look with 2 strikes. He's had Padlo even with third, but off the line. Cronenworth has been up the middle and deep, as is Haley at second base. Kelly's playing bag high over at first. And they all remain in that spot. Tom at third, the tying run. Velasquez at second, the leading run. 2-2, high and wide and snatched at the last second by Rocky Gale. That almost got away.
I was wondering if they were going to try to go to the slider there, and then that sets you, if you miss it, you've got that fastball. But instead, they go with the fastball a little bit overthrown there, and kind of gives you a little bit of a tougher call here because you really kind of need to be in the zone. You do not want to load the bases for Bobby Bradley.
All right, Slager's happy with the sign. 6'10" right-hander on the 3-2. Grounded up the first base side. Foul. That was the breaking pitch from Slagers. In a pretty good spot.
A really good spot. If you could throw it for a strike like that, then disregard everything I just said.
It's a must-win for the Bulls tonight. Durham leads 1-0 in the sixth. But the Clippers on back-to-back doubles have second and third, 1 out. 3-2 pitch, a swing and a fly ball, high and deep to center. Lucas racing back from the grass to the track, jumps up in the wall, and this one's gone. It's a home run to center field for Bradley Zimmer. And the Clippers take a 3-1 lead in the sixth. 3 straight extra base hits against Slagers. A double, and a Zimmer home run that just eluded the leap in dead center by Lucas. And the Clippers on top and beginning to count down outs toward a potential Governor's Cup.
He hit that ball, I think, about 397 feet, which is just all that he needed for a crucial home run.
And now Bobby Bradley hits a changeup wide of the mound. Is Slager's ball or nobody's? He does make the backhand play and throws out Bradley. Nice job of mental strength there by Aaron Slagers. 1-3 put out on Bradley. 2 outs in the sixth inning. And now Mark Mathias. Well, Zimmer did very well to spoil away that 3-2 slider on the foul. And Slagers, what looked to be another fastball that was up. Not up enough. Zimmer was ready for it that time. Strike 1 on Mathias.
Lucas gave it a good effort. He was just about a foot too short.
And the 0-1, a chopper, 1 long hop to third. Padlo raises in, transfers to the throwing hand and takes care of Mathias. Sixth inning ends. But after 1 out, the Clippers string 3 extra base hits against Slagers and take the lead. middle of 6 from Durham. It is now Columbus 3, the Bulls 1. Well, the Bulls played with a lead for about 3 innings before Bradley Zimmer erases it on one swing against Slagers. Lifted a 3-run homer just onto the platform behind the yellow line in dead center field. Came with a couple of men on. Clippers with a 3-1 lead as we play the bottom of the 6th inning. And Josh Smith continues first full inning, pours across a left-handed fastball at 89.
And Mitch Talbot's ability to dance around trouble now looks crucial in this game.
As does that diving catch made by Kai Tom earlier. Strike 2 at the knees of Rocky Gale. 3-4-0 for Columbus. 1-2-0 for Durham. Here's the 0-2 pitch on Gale. Ran it inside. Almost got the fabric. Ball and 2 strikes. Smith struck out Dalton Kelly, his only man he faced in the 5th inning. Stranded the inherited runner Dylan Cousins. And now he gets a right, left, right combination at the bottom of the 6th. Here's the 1-2 from Smith. Breaking ball slips out of his fingertips wide. Well, as Brady Williams said before the game, this team has faced the last moment several times here in the last couple of weeks. Here's the 2-2, and Gale sends it our way, foul to the right.
Almost
Still
there,
2-2.
Patrick.
Yeah, the Bulls trailed by 4 games in the wild card with a week to go. Ventured to Charlotte where they had to sweep 3 in a row. Any loss in any one of those 3 games would have effectively knocked the Bulls out. So they played 3 virtually elimination games in Charlotte, won them all as Gale spoils a very good fastball located knee-high outside corner. And then the Bulls needed some help that final weekend, got it. But they needed to beat Gwinnett a couple of times, which they did. Swept through the semis against Scranton. Down 0-2 now to Columbus. Breaking ball, little roller to short. Long run in, scooped up by Velasquez, and the throw retires Gale. Well, we've seen Velasquez play very well at shortstop in a Bulls uniform. We've also seen Velasquez play quite a bit out in center field over the last couple of years.
Really good out there.
And in his time so far in this series, he's been on the infield dirt all 3 times with Bradley Zimmer now clogging up the action for him out in center. But Velasquez has played a terrific defensive series. Retires Gale for the first out of the 6th. 3-1 Columbus. And now Nathan Lucas faces the lefty Smith. Third baseman on the grass, pulls one toward right field, and one hops off the glove of Clement into shallow right. And a single for Nathan Lucas with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th.
That's impressive. A single in a couple of ways. Hit 1, it's tough for a lefty against Smith because he's tough on lefties. And 2, he got a ball past Ernie Clement, which is very difficult to do.
Well, just in this series, it's been almost impossible for the Bulls to get a ball past Mathias, Velasquez, and Clements. They've had a little bit of luck getting balls past Bobby Bradley.
Bobby Bradley's not that same level of defender. Sorry, Bobby.
So now Haley bats as the tying run in the 6th. Right-handed hitter. Stares at strike 1.
As you said, this is the tough call they had to make. Is Haley the guy you want out there, or is it Leidendorf, in this game? And now here comes Haley up in a truly crucial situation.
Well, Brady likes Haley just because of the power in his bat. The power potential. Smith on 0-1. Stray fastball, 1-1. We'll give it Talbot's official line after this pitch on Haley. Looking for his first hit of the championship. The delivery, a slider fouled off his foot and deflects to the backstop, strike 2. 4 2/3 innings for Talbot, 92 pitches. Mainly a result of the 6 walks that he issued, including 3 in the 2nd inning, but they all were stranded. Struck out 5, gave up only 2 hits, and 1 run. Ball and 2 strikes on Haley. Here's the pitch. Swinging a ground ball foul again. Jumps over the short brick wall into the first row, right in front of the tarp. Bulls trailing by a 3-1 score. Lucas at first base, 1 out. Glove tied against the abdomen of Smith. Out of the stretch. Looks at Lucas, comes home and strikes out Haley with a fastball down the middle. 90 miles an hour. Haley is retired for the first time tonight. So now Cronenworth will get his first look at Smith tonight as the tying run. Cronenworth 0 for 2 tonight. And what was likely going to be a bloop 2-run single in front of Tom in left field in the second inning was denied on a diving catch. Strike 1 on Cronenworth.
And how crucial does that look right now?
Quincy McCracken whispers something into the ear hole of Lucas at first base. And Smith now in a pretty good rhythm. 0-1 from the lefty. Fouled off. A late swing by Cronenworth on a fastball that was up. Slagers will continue for the Bulls. Game plan before the game began for Brady Williams was combining Snell and Slagers for minimum 7, if not 8 innings. 0-2 to Cronenworth. Backhanded inside by Navarro. Bonifacio next to switch hitter. Smith throws to first base and almost threw it past Bobby Bradley. Lucas recognized that throw coming over better than Bradley did.
I was going to say that throw over was almost like he had left a reminder for himself, throw over, and so by rote he did. Wasn't deceptive, and it wasn't anywhere around the first base bag.
2 strikes in the ball. Cronenworth deep in the box, feet tight together. A fastball jammed him, fouls it straight back against the bricks. Bulls fans quietly hopeful. Ball and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Cronenworth will a half swing floater left center. Tom races across, stays on his feet this time, and drops the ball. It's picked up by Zimmer behind him. Lucas stops at second base. Tom made the sprawling catch on Cronenworth 4 innings ago. This time got in position to make the catch on his feet. He kind of jumped across into that catch, but missed it. Maybe slightly overran it. And the Bulls have the tying runs on with 2 outs. That'll be an error on Tom.
He made the hard look easy and the easy look hard. And Lucas only got to second there, but that ball didn't hang up that long. I thought that maybe he just held up, but the reality is he was only getting to second as that ball popped out, and there was not much other time to try to get to third.
Well, here's Bonifacio as the Bulls get a swing on the house, and that re-energizes the DBAP crowd. 3-1 Columbus in the 6th. First pitch from Smith. Outside. Well, we did see Columbus in the first couple of games of this championship. They optimized every extra out the Bulls gave them. That is the first error Columbus has made in this final. Smith on 1-0. Down and away, ball 2.
And this is a tough situation for Smith here. You think you've gotten out of the inning. You think you've done everything you need to do, and then all of a sudden you have to recenter, knowing in the back of your head, I've done everything I need to do in this inning.
Now Bonifacio in the year of the MLB balls at the AAA level, a career-high 8 home runs this year. He's the go-ahead run. 2-0 at the knees on the outside corner. Bonifacio thought that was wide. Coates would come up next. I think that's why Bonifacio is a little irked. Bonifacio knows he can do some damage. But he absolutely knows Coates can do some damage. There's no right-hander throwing behind Smith. Clippers 3, Bulls 1. 2 on, 2 outs, 2-1 pitch. Swing by Bonifacio, fly ball to right. Over toward the line is Johnson, and he does hang on. And the inning comes to a close. 1 hit, 1 error, a nervy finish to the 6th inning, but the error by Ka'ai Tom in left field left uncapitalized. We're done with 6. Columbus 3, Bulls 1.
Being on the Clippers, the right fielder number 2, and Johnson.
First pitch of the 7th inning with the Clippers leading 3-1. Is in for a strike against the lefty Daniel Johnson. Aaron Slager still on the hill. 5th inning of work tonight. A swing by Johnson. Cracks one to right field with depth. Cousins races back. This one's over his head and into the 3rd row. And Daniel Johnson motors around the bases, extending the Clippers' lead. A solo home run to make it 4-1 Columbus in the 7th.
The power of this Columbus lineup, game in, game out, has been the story of this series so far. Make a mistake, they are going to make you pay, and that's exactly what they've done again tonight.
The Clippers have scored 19 runs in this championship series. 17 of the 19 have scored on home runs. Strike 1 on Clement, and a breaking ball from Slager's grounded foul. They had the grand slam from LeBarnway last night, along with a 2-run homer later in the game. That was 6 of Columbus's 7. In game 1 on Tuesday, Bradley in the 1st inning hit a 3-run shot. Tom in the 4th also hit a 3-run homer. As there's an end of the bat single rolling into center field. Landed at the seam of the dirt and the grass behind the second base bag. Andrew Velasquez in game 1 hit a solo home run back end of the back-to-back with Tom. They did score a run without a home run in the 8th inning of game 1. And then everything tonight as a result of the long balls. One by Zimmer, that one by Johnson. So Clement has his 2nd hit. Here's a bunt Slager's way. He'll field midway toward the plate and throw out Navarro. Sacrifice from Slagers to Kelly, moving Clement down to second base. First out, 7th inning. Now a 4-1 Columbus lead. Well, we were questioning Tony Mansolino earlier in the game why he's not bunting with Maribel back in the 3rd when it was 0-0. He plays the safe route here with Navarro with a 4-1 lead. Bunting Clement to second base. And Slagers kisses the inside corner on Maribel, strike 1.
And we do have action in the Bulls bullpen, which...
Yep, Ian Gardick beginning to throw.
Makes sense. Slagers has given up a good bit of hard contact lately.
0-1. Swinging a pop-up, Padlow's way. Moves midway between 2nd and 3rd to make the catch. So Maribel 0 for 3. Loops out on the infield. 2 out, 7th inning, and here is Ka'ai Tom, whose double last inning started a 3-run uprising. Pulled it into the right field corner. Advanced to 3rd when Velasquez doubled off the bottom of the center field wall. And that was all ahead of the home run by Bradley Zimmer. Just onto the ledge behind the yellow line, 395 feet away. Left-handed hitter Tom grounds one foul, hits it sharply, and deflects right to Gardick, who's getting ready in the bullpen for Durham. We saw Gardick get an inning last night in his AAA Durham Bulls debut. 0-1 from Slagers. Smoked foul again. And that jumped up, and did that catch a fan in the first row? It may have. Uh-oh. A couple of Bulls relievers walking over there. Fans are standing in the surrounding areas. And ushers will certainly go take a look. I don't see anybody waving for help yet. That jumped over that short wall into the seats and then quickly ricocheted back out onto the field. Some fans are still standing up, though. And now some members of the EMT and Durham Bulls front office are hustling down into that section. 2-strike pitch on Tom is into the dirt. (4-1) Clippers, top of the 7th. Clement's out at second base, 2 outs. And Slagers brings it home on 1-2, and this ball's hooked into the right field corner. Turning, though, foul. Home run distance by Kai Tom. Still 1-2. And Rocky Gale out to the mound. He recognizes that Slagers, the form is deteriorating a little bit. Pitches don't quite have the same bite. He's not missing as many barrels as he was earlier in this outing. And he's given Gardick an opportunity to finish getting loose.
And the other thing with that is as we talked about, we are talking about a pitcher, as we said, it's not 94 up in the zone. Well, if you're 88 to 90 and you're going up, which he does, and all of a sudden you lack that precision that he's had on the location, and if you lose a little something off also on the life of it, it all of a sudden becomes a very hittable pitch, and that's what's happened in the last 2 innings so far.
Ball and 2 strikes. And the pitch on the way to Tom, up high. 2 balls and 2 strikes. No action behind Smith for Columbus. He will get at least the beginning of the 7th inning. And Slagers barely missed inside, 2-2. Coates, Cousins, and Padlo, 3, 4, and 5 in the order for Durham in the bottom of the 7th. Slagers 2-2, a swing and a fly ball pretty well hit to left field. Coates goes back, pulls up off the monster. This carries out and gone. Kai Tom clears the left field monster by a foot. An opposite field home run. And the Clippers go up 6-1 on Slagers. They've hit 3 home runs in the span of their last 8 batters. And they are now 9 outs away and 5 runs in the lead from their 11th Governor's Cup. And Brady Williams on the way. And Aaron Slagers' evening is over. Gardick will come in. 6-1 Columbus. A couple of home runs in this 7th. Chase Slagers. And the mountain growing taller for the Bulls. Gardick in to face Velasquez when we return. .28-year-old suburban Chicago native Ian Gardick is the new pitcher for Durham. Aaron Slagers knocked out here in the 7th inning. 3-run homer by Bradley Zimmer in the 6th that gave Columbus its first lead tonight. And now in the 7th inning, Daniel Johnson opened up the frame with a home run. And Kai Tom, who has been such a huge spark to this Clippers team since he came up in July, hit almost 300, 9 home runs with Columbus to go along with 14 home runs at Double-A. Takes out Slagers to end his season. Well, we saw Gardick made his Bulls debut last night, throwing an inning in Columbus. 16 pitches. Originally signed by the Giants 7 years ago out of the University of Alabama. And the right-hander's first pitch, fastball up in the zone, missed. 0-1 on Velasquez. But Ian Gardick Quite a story. I delved into this during the broadcast last night. Not one, but two Tommy John surgeries cost him essentially 3 years of production. Swing and a miss by Velasquez. But he's one of 4 Gardick kids. 0-2, the count on Velasquez, and the right-hander's pitch. Swing and a miss, and Gardick makes quick work of Velasquez, and that ends a 7th inning of melancholy for the Bulls. 3 runs on a couple of home runs. Johnson a solo shot, Tom a 2-run homer, and we'll head to the bottom of the 7th inning of a must-win game for the Bulls. Columbus 6, Durham 1. Now that 3-run top of the 7th inning, I don't know if it's a backbreaker, but the Bulls are getting a standing 8 count because those shots landed. And just 9 outs remaining. And first pitch swinging by Jason Coates. High fly, left field to the monster. This one's going to go. A first pitch home run to left by Coates. 6-2.
Maybe it's a standing 8, not a knockout. Obviously, that's exactly what the Bulls needed. And they do have guys coming up, the middle of this lineup, they can play the game that Columbus has played, which is power, power, power.
Well, that is Jason Coates' 4th home run of the postseason. He homered last night. He homered twice against Scranton. And now it's Dylan Cousins questioning the strike call by Dan Merzel. Cousins 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Left on left. And the pitch from Smith way wide off the mitt of Navarro and all the way to the backstop as the bullpen scrambles to action behind Smith for Columbus. (6-2) Clippers in the 7th. Smith on 1-1 to Cousins and got a stretching cut to a slider from the lefty. 1-2. Well, we saw last night, even when the Bulls spotted Columbus a 7-0 lead, they were still able to claw back and get the tying run up. Fastball upstairs. And that's been one of the hallmarks of this Durham Bulls team. Again, this team was at its best in June, as were probably a lot of teams in the International League. But they still have maintained that character of able to fight back and not roll over when things get tough down the stretch. Full count now on Cousins.
Even as the names have changed and the players doing it have wearing different jerseys, different numbers.
I mean, it's just always a characteristic of a winning team, whether it's Columbus, whether it's Durham, whether it's Scranton. Here's the 3-2, half swing, and he goes around on a breaking ball that would have been ball 4. Out number 1 for Smith in the 7th inning as he collects his 3rd strikeout. Well, now the outs to get for the Clippers into the single digits. They have lost only once in this postseason, and it came when they were 2 games to love up on Gwinnett in the semifinal round. And the Stripers rolled 10 early runs in Game 3 on the road against them, and Columbus rallied but could not overcome. Ball in the dirt on Padlo.
4 runs, 8 outs. That's a good equation if you're Columbus. It's a bad equation if you're Durham.
Padlo drove in Durham's first run of the game with a 3rd inning single. 1 of 3 tonight. And Smith's breaking ball again slides wide, ball 2. No action behind Gardick, so he came on to fan Velasquez to close out the 7th. He will at least begin the 8th. And a right-hander now throwing behind Smith, who's about to make his 36th pitch. He threw 35 2 nights ago, so a heavy workload for Josh Smith. Outfield plays Padlo slightly to pull. Here's the 2-0, and a fastball jackknifes him at the knees. 3 balls and nothing. Dalton Kelly next, and again, you look up and down this Brady Williams lineup. Left, right, left, right, left, right. On the Bulls bench, they have a couple of righties with Mac James and Tyler Ladendorf. Tristan Gray, the only lefty. And there's a top of the zone strike on 3-0. Clippers up 6-2 in the 7th inning. 3-1 pitch from Smith, and that's at the knees. Full count on Padlo. He understands it's only the 7th inning. Bulls need base runners. If it's May, Padlo's taking a hack at that 3-1 pitch. But on September 12th, down 4 and down 2 games in the championship, it's a take.
A solo home run is only so helpful.
3-2, popped out of play halfway down the first base line. And with Dalton Kelly on deck, you would presume Smith would get one more batter if he has anything left in the tank. 3-2, fouled straight back. He's now at 40 pitches. And again, standing alone, 40 pitches is plenty for a reliever, but 2 days after throwing 35,
that's a lot.
That's a big workload for Smith, especially knowing that you might face one more guy. So that if Padlo can reach.
Especially in September.
Here's the 3-2 again. And Padlo fouls off another. This happens all the time. You know, when you're on the mound laboring through, trying to get maybe 1 or 2 more outs, and the pitches pile up, you just don't have the put-away stuff for the movement or the carry or the location. You see a lot of fouls build up. But to Smith's credit, he's been pouring in strikes over the last 4 pitches.
And he knows also, base runners are what the Bulls need. He's filling the zone. You'll take the risk of giving up a solo homer.
3-2 again. Got him swinging. 90 on the outer third. And got it past Padlo's barrel. So that's out number 2. Tony Mansolino's on the top step. And with the bases empty, and even with Kelly coming up, that's going to do it for Josh Smith. Would be interested to see what would have happened had Padlo reached. But as Smith efforts his way through that strikeout of Padlo, the lead is 4, and he will depart after making his 42nd and final pitch. So a right-hander will come in to face Kelly. The Clippers are now 7 outs away from the Governor's Cup. 6-2, Columbus on top. Pitching change from Durham when we return. Venezuelan-born Argenis Angulo, 25-year-old, checks in for Columbus. 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th, trying to protect a 6-2 Clippers lead. Been in the Indians organization his entire career, and split this year between Double-A Akron and the Clippers. 26 games at Double-A, 206. Here with Columbus, a 5.2 over 22 appearances. And he will inherit the base is empty, and he will take on the lefty Dalton Kelly after Josh Smith powered a fastball past Padlo. A terrific comeback by Smith. He was 3-0 down in the count, and he was on life support. Came back to strike out Padlo. So Kelly bats, base is empty, 2 outs. 6-2 Columbus. Kelly nothing of 2 with a walk tonight. And Angulo's first delivery, 96, breezing past Kelly on the outside corner. That is the firmest fastball any Bull has seen in the game.
By a significant amount.
Bulls have not seen Angulo yet in this championship. High leg kick, fires home, strike 2, rips apart the outer half again at 96. Only 4 hits tonight for the Bulls. Home run by Coates to begin this 7th inning is one of them. And the 0-2, fastball at the letters. Kelly somehow got a piece of 95.
This crowd has stuck around. And they have stayed locked in. They have not had a lot. The Bulls fans have not had a lot to cheer in the last few innings, but they are still locked in on every pitch.
Signs to Angulo. And the pitch on the way to Dalton Kelly is popped out of play one more time. Nothing but fastball so far from Angulo, 95 to 96. Been a reliever over his entire career. Oh, 0-2 on Angulo. And the right-hander fires home, and there's a changeup up and away on Kelly. Angulo, 25 years of age. Growing up in Venezuela, really didn't start pitching until he was about 17 years of age. Here's the 1-2. Swinging a changeup or a little roller wide at first. Awkward backhand. Bradley flipped to Angulo. And the inning closes. Only the home run by Coates. It draws the Bulls to within 4, but the Clippers are now within 6 outs of their 11th Governor's Cup. Heading to the 8th, Columbus 6, Bulls 2. Fourth home run of the postseason by Jason Coates has drawn the Bulls to within 4. The sand is ticking out of the hourglass for the two-time defending champs. 8th inning, 6-2 in favor of Columbus. And it will be Zimmer, Bradley, and Mathias one more time for the Clippers. Ian Gardick stays in for Durham. Struck out Velasquez as the only man he saw in that 7th inning.
Middle of Columbus's order does mean that one more inning like we saw before, and this thing is over. Gardick has, if the Bulls are going to have a chance, Gardick has to get through this inning.
Opens up Zimmer with a slider up and away, ball 1. Last time we saw Zimmer enter the box, the Clippers were trailing 1-0 as Gardick beneath an off-speed pitch again, ball 2. But after doubles by Tom and Velasquez put runners at second and third, as Tom had a hold up thinking that Lucas might retreat to the wall and make the catch, only advanced to third. Zimmer on a 3-2 pitch from Slagers after nipping away a slider that was down and in, knocked out a home run to center field to give Columbus the lead. They then hit 2 more home runs off of Slagers in the 7th, and it's now 6-2. 2-1 on Zimmer. And Gardick is ready. Out of the stretch. Pitches home and a ground ball pulled to first. Ranging is Kelly to his right. Nice stop. Underhand flip. Got to Gardick covering the bag. Close play. Gardick had to almost reach into the baseline ahead of where Zimmer was running. And the knee of Zimmer almost hit the glove of Gardick. Very nice play by Kelly and especially Gardick covering the bag.
Very nice play by Kelly first to snag it because it almost looked like the ball got by him. And Gardick really had to hustle to get there, but that also had disaster potentially written all over it at first base because you had 2 guys meeting at the bag.
Yep. So 1 out now. Here's Bobby Bradley. A quiet night by his standards tonight. A couple of ground outs and a walk. He has not come up in any major offensive moment for the Clippers. He has left that for some other of his teammates. First pitch on Bradley, strike 1. I talked with Gardick at length. If you're listening to the broadcast last night from Columbus, I'll give you the Cliffs Notes version of who Ian Gardick is and where he's been and what kind of character that he is. Here's the 0-1 on Bradley. Rips it over Kelly, but hooks it foul. Duck hooked it into the Durham bullpen. But Gardick coming back after a couple of Tommy John surgeries. Had just been placed on his first big league roster with the Giants. But as he was coming back, injured the elbow again. Then had a hip issue as well. So he missed really the better part of 2.5 to 3 years. Never gave up. And a pitch inside. And as part of his not only belief in him trying to get to the big leagues for the first time, he's always had belief in one of his younger brothers, Dennis. As I mentioned, Gardick is one of 4. Gardick boys out of suburban Chicago. Swing and a miss, and down goes Bradley. But his younger brother Dennis is playing Division II football, one of the top D2 football players in the country. But as he was trying to get his name out there to get in the NFL kind of draft database as a potential draft choice, no scouts really knew about him, and he was in 0 databases. Came out and began training with Gardick, who had begun a professional baseball kind of training relationship with one of the members of the Arizona Cardinals support staff. And the pitch bounces in and gets away. And as Dennis came out to train with Ian, they were out in South Dakota, Ian started asking around to the rep from the Arizona Cardinals, what do I need to do? What does my brother need to do to get in the portal and get to the combines? He needs to be seen. Because Ian had been telling his younger brother, you're going to play in the NFL, going all the way back to his high school and earlier days. And the Cardinal rep said, well, it's about $15,000 to get to the combine. And Ian had just finished his first year on the 40-man for the Giants. Told me in the dugout before the game yesterday, as this one is shot towards short, scooped by Cronenworth, and comes up throwing, and that retires the side. Gardick had $15,000 laying around, believed in his brother, paid for the combine spot. Dennis went, was signed as a free agent by the Arizona Cardinals, made the roster last year, made the roster this year, blocked a punt last weekend for Arizona, an
Awesome.
NFL linebacker. Middle of 8 as Gardick gets the job done. Bulls trail by 4, Columbus 6, Durham 2. Well, the Bulls and Clippers down the stretch, Game 3 of the Governor's Cup Finals. Columbus have 2 games to none, and they have a road lead on the 2-time defending champs, 6-2. And only 6 outs left for the Durham Bulls in their title defense, unless they rally. Argenis Anguilla gets his first full inning. First pitch on Rocky Gale, a swing and a fly ball center field, medium shallow. Bradley Zimmer cranes his neck and makes the catch with one hand. So a one-pitch fly out by Rocky Gale. And now we are down to outs that can be counted on one hand that stand between the Clippers and International League history. One away in the 8th. Now Nathan Lucas, single and a walk in 3 trips tonight. Mathias trying to take the bunt away. Toes on the grass at third. And the pitch on Lucas, a good breaking ball, drops right on the inside black. 0-1. This was a scoreless game into the bottom of the 3rd. Kevin Padlow singled home Bonifacio with the game's first run as Angulo bounces one in. Snell went 2 perfect. Slagers had thrown 3 scoreless. The lead was still 1-0 into the 6th. When Bradley Zimmer socked out a 3-run homer just clearing the yellow line in center field. And then in the 7th, 2 more home runs by the Clippers for good measure against Slagers. Johnson a solo. Tom a 2-run shot. Fastball upstairs at the shoulders. Coates then homered in the bottom of the 7th against Josh Smith, the only blemish on his mark tonight. Smith is in line for the win. 2 innings, 2 hits, no walks, fan 4. And grinded out the final couple of outs of his outing following the Coates homer. 2-1 pitch, high and wide. Action in the Durham bullpen, a right-hander throwing, Arturo Reyes, who closed down a couple of those games in the semifinal round against Scranton. Lucas will have to make this one perfect to swing at it. Bulls need base runners. 3-1 pitch, inside and low, and a walk with 1 out in the Durham 8th.
It wasn't perfect.
And that is the 7th combined walk tonight by Columbus pitchers, the other 6 from Talbot. And now Tristan Gray will come off the bench and pinch hit. So he'll bat for Haley, the only lefty that Brady Williams has on his bench. Tristan Gray added to the championship series roster. He pinch hit last night for Ladendorf. struck out, stayed in the game, and then walked later. And he pitched it for Haley in game 1 and popped out. And takes strike 1 from Angulo. Bulls down 6-2. And boy, does Tristan Gray now become a critical hinge hitter. Swings right through a fastball at the knees. I mean, if he can reach and put 2 on with 1 out, turning the lineup over, will give the Bulls a lot of hope.
And as you said, base runners more than extra bases is what they need.
Here's the 0-2, high at the shoulders. Gray hit 17 home runs in the Southern League. Tied for 8th in that league this year, drove in 64. Right-handed action now behind Angulo. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Belt high fastball, 94. And no match for Tristan Gray. Second out, 8th inning, 6-2 Clippers. And now Cronenworth.
And now the outs equal the amount of runs that Columbus has for a lead. 4-4.
Tie and run for the Bulls still remains inside the dugout. 6-2 Columbus, bottom 8. And Angulo's first pitch, a slow curve at 76 that he commands for strike 1. We've seen the fastball reach 96. Now a curveball 20 miles an hour softer. 0-1. Is hit toward the left field corner, slicing away from Tom on the chase, over his head. 1 hops against the monster. Coming to third is Lucas. He'll be stopped, and into second is Cronenworth with a double.
As you keep saying, this Bulls team is not one to just fold. And I don't know if there's anyone they would rather have at the plate right now than Emilio Bonifacio.
So Bonifacio will bat. The question is, against whom? To the mound goes Navarro. And here comes Rigo Beltran, the pitching coach for Columbus. So it looks like Bonifacio will face off against Angulo. Tie and run is on deck, and that would be Jason Coates, who last night also batted as the tie and run as the Bulls attempted a late game rally. Rigo Beltran talked with Angulo. Right-hander ready to go in the bullpen, but it does not look like the change will be made. Chatted with Rigo before the game as the Clippers arrived. Had Rigo as a pitching coach of mine, AA in the Red System several years ago. And we talked about what's coming up in the offseason. And he said, "You're never going to believe what I'm doing in the offseason." I said, "What?" He said, "I'm going to be managing my first team in winter ball in Mexico."
Awesome.
For an expansion team of one of the Mexican franchises that was in the winter leagues for Mexico and then folded and has since been reinstituted back to the Mexican winter leagues. He said, "I don't know, maybe they got my name mixed up to manage. I've never done it before, but that's what Rigo will be doing this offseason. Congrats to him." So now it's Bonifacio. Coates, if he bats in this 8th, is the tie and run. Second and third, 2 outs, and the pitch. Check swing, looper the other way, foul. Past the third base bag is a broken bat from Bonifacio. Now Jake Cronenworth, who picked up that double here in the bottom of the 8th to set up the inning, he's going to be helping Team USA try to qualify for the Olympics coming up in a few weeks. Some games that he will play with Eric Kratz and some others from the International League. A couple of games in Mexico, and I believe the other games are in Japan, I want to say, in the next several weeks.
The best of the non-40 man.
That's right. Bonifacio, a double and a run scored in the 3rd. 2 outs in the 8th, 6-2 Clippers, and the pitch way high. 96, right around the bill of the blue helmet for Bonifacio.
The blue and white helmet for Bonifacio.
Yeah, with all the rosin on top. Now you don't need all 4 here in the 8th. Brady Williams would love even a 2-run single from Bonifacio. Shallow outfield, straight away, the pitch. He slices it foul against the screen above the Columbus dugout. Ball and 2 strikes on Bonifacio. Angulo sets up against the rubber. And a long look into Navarro. Check of the runners. 1-2 to Bonifacio. High again. Overcooked a fastball. 2-2. And as much as a 4-run deficit feels pretty big to the Bulls, for Tony Mansolino and the Clippers, with Coates on deck with 4 postseason home runs, it's feeling mighty small to them at this juncture of the 8th. 2-2 on the way. High and wide again, and he's gone full. And safe to say this is going to be the final pitch that Angulo will make if he loses Bonifacio. Almost no doubt. I think that's John Edwards throwing down there in the pen. He will be coming on to face Coates.
Also safe to say 3-2, 2 outs. Cronenworth scores on almost anything.
Here's the pitch, and it's looped on a play again.
Guy with some speed at second base, able to go off with the pitch. Yeah, this is obviously as much as an at-bat can be crucial in a 4-run game. This is the crucial at-bat.
3 balls, 2 strikes on Bonifacio. Second and third, 2 down. Here's the pitch, and it's popped up out of play again. The battle continues.
Nice at-bat here.
Well, you notice as Angulo's gotten backed into a bit of a corner, it's nothing but fastballs here.
And fastballs up. And Bonifacio's shown that he can lay off a fastball up and out of the zone. So he's having to locate.
Columbus 6, Durham 2, 8th inning. At third, Lucas. At second, Cronenworth. 3-2, down and in. Went to the breaking ball. Bonifacio walks. And Jason Coates will be the tying run in the 8th. And Tony Mansolino marches out of the Columbus dugout. Well, we expected this to be the case at some point before the Clippers hit the finish line. The Bulls have loaded the bases with 2 outs in the 8th. And Jason Coates, the guy you absolutely want up in this situation. As much power as he has flashed in the final week of the regular season and here in the Governor's Cup semis and championship series. He will bat with a chance to tie it up. To the bullpen go the Clippers. And it is John Edwards coming in to face Coates when we return to Game 3. John Edwards, new pitcher for the Columbus Clippers. Just DFA'd by the Indians on last Sunday. Outrighted off the roster 9 days ago. Second appearance of the championship. He checks into a 6-2 Clippers game with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and Jason Coates in the batter's box. The 1-0 pitch wide. Back-to-back breaking pitches from Edwards. Ball 2. Coates hit a pair of 3-run homers in the semifinal round against Scranton. He hit a home run to left center in Columbus last night and a home run to left last inning off of Josh Smith. Lucas, Cronenworth, Bonifacio, the base runners. 2-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. A third straight slider. That was down and out of the zone. Edwards was not going to give in to a fastball to Jason Coates.
And Jason Coates thought at 2-0 that he was getting a fastball. And if he had, I think he'd have hit it very far, but he did not.
Dylan Cousins would bat next. It's a must-win Game 3 for the Bulls. Here's the 2-1. Fastball. Foul off. Put it on the outer third. Coates had to go to rep. 2-2. Now, Coates has not seen Edwards this season. Edwards 6-1 over 41 games at a 4.22. He's ready on 2-2. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball, got him with a high slider. Coates strikes out, And Edwards brings the Clippers to within 1 inning of a Governor's Cup title. Was that the last hurrah for the Bulls? Time will tell. Moving to the 9th, Columbus 6, Durham 2. Six to 2 lead for the Clippers. Top of the 9th inning of Game 3. And the Bulls perhaps best and last scoring chance to draw back even with the Clippers may have just been punched away on a strikeout by John Edwards of the Bulls left fielder Jason Coates. Striking him out on a 2-2 slider with the bases loaded and Coates representing the tying run. Arturo Reyes gets the 9th for the Bulls. And the right-hander comes home down and in against Johnson and clipped him on the foot. And a leadoff base runner for Columbus. Now, if we know anything about Tony Mansolino and Brady Williams, is that how small a 4-run lead can feel based on the fact that the Bulls brought the tying run up. So if I'm Tony Mansolino here, as Johnson reaches with his ability to run, you want to get outside where a grand slam can tie you up. So let's see how aggressive they are to try and get this 7th run in. Strike one against Ernie Clements.
A 5-run lead feels like a different area code than a 4-run lead.
Mm-hmm. So Reyes, the right-hander, home on 0-1. A swing and a hack out into right center field. Cousins to his right in a step and makes the easy catch to retire Clement. Johnson back to first with 1 out in the 9th. Now the bottom half of the 9th will belong to Edwards. There's nobody throwing behind him. And again, with Karinchak going to the big leagues and having thrown last night 13 pitches. And Josh Smith, who also has a lot of experience this year on the back end here for Columbus, used earlier tonight. The last 4 outs of this potential championship clinching game fall on the shoulder of John Edwards. Ball 1 against Navarro.
And he handled the duty in the 8th. He probably will not face a tougher situation in the 9th than he faced in the 8th.
Johnson held on by Kelly. Bouncing throw from Reyes. Kelly digs it.
That strike 3 slider, it's funny, it was a slider, but it was really, I think, more the change of the fact that it was slower than Coates was expecting more than anything. That was really the difference in the strikeout.
So 1 out in the 9th inning. Navarro tonight 0 for 1. A walk into sacrifice. Running start by Johnson. So Navarro takes it. And Johnson into second base. He could have been halfway into left field by the time that pitch came in from Reyes, who simply lost track of the importance of Dennis Johnson.
Reyes did not look over. Johnson figured that out. And, yeah, you're talking about it. If there's ever a steal off a pitcher, that was a steal off the pitcher.
And the pitch from Reyes, bouncing ball, Kelly's way, backs up, scoops it at the ankle, flipped to Reyes for the out, and Daniel Johnson rounds third and holds. Navarro grounds out, 2 outs in the 9th, 6-2 Columbus.
The reality of it is Reyes is treating this, I think, like Greg Maddux. His thought is I'm just going to get the outs, and that runner will not score because I'm going to get the next 2 guys. And the reality is that he's 1 out away from making that happen.
So now it's Maribel, the number 9, hitting DH. He's nothing of 3. 6-2 Clippers, top 9. It will be Cousins, Padlow, and Kelly due up for Durham in the bottom of the 9th. And if anybody reaches, Rocky Gale. First pitch swinging, comebacker, snagged by Reyes, down by his feet, runs to first, and flips it to Kelly, and gets the job done. So despite the hit by pitch and the easy steal of second by Daniel Johnson, Reyes shuts down Columbus. It is the absolute last call now for the 2-time defending champs. They need 4 to tie it. Columbus 6, Durham 2. Well, as Mike Tirico would say if he's calling a golf tournament, We have now reached the last. It is the bottom of the ninth of Game 3 of the Governor's Cup Championship Series. Columbus, by 2-0, leads the Bulls in this series. And John Edwards has the Clippers 3 outs away from their 11th Governor's Cup title. First pitch on Dylan Cousins, scrapes the inside corner. Strike one. Clippers 6, Bulls 2. Bulls led 1-0 through 5 before Bradley Zimmer's home run to center turned it all around. Here's the 0-1. Swing by Cousins. Hits it in the air down the left field line. Long run across for Tom. This ball's going to land fair. Cousins rounding first base, hits the brakes, and heads back to first.
Wisely hits the brakes.
With the shift, even for the outfielders, to the pull side for Cousins, that ball nestled inside the left field line and on the grass, still about 20 feet away from Ka'ai Tom. A base hit by Cousins begins the ninth. And that will give the Bulls an extra heartbeat in this ninth inning. Down by 4. And Kevin Padlow, the hitter. Dylan Kelly on deck. And Rocky Gale breaking a few baseball rules. Out of the dugout, taking a few extra swings. He wants an important crack. Here's the pitch from Edwards. Strike one. Knee high on Padlow, outside corner. Columbus has out-hit Durham 7-6. They hold a 6-2 lead. Cousins at first, nobody out. Edwards slide step, pitches home, and a half swing and a low slider, and no appeal needed. Strike two on Padlow.
Definitely went.
Now coming into this Governor's Cup Championship Series, Columbus tied with the Rochester Red Wings for the most number of Governor's Cup titles, each with 10. Columbus has done it, though, in only 58 campaigns. Here's the 0-2. Down and away. Ball one. Rochester has needed 132 years to win 10 Governor's
more.
Cups.
No, we have two storied franchises here.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Padlow, and the pitch, a swing and a miss, and Padlow out number 1 in the ninth inning. Well, I'm glad you bring that up, JJ, because you take a look across the history of the league over the last 10 years, 7 of the last 10 Governor's Cup champions have either been Durham or Columbus. Columbus won back-to-back in 2010 and 11. Bulls are currently on back-to-back championships, 2017 and 2018. 1 out. Now Dalton Kelly. And the pitch from Edwards is low. Ball one. The first 3 of the 10 titles for the Clippers were all in succession. 1979, 1980, 1981, all 3 guided by different managers. Gene Michael, Joe Altobelli, Frank Verdi. Pretty good trio. The 1-0. In and low, ball 2. They won again in 1987 under the direction of Bucky Dent. So as a matter of fact, of the 10 titles the Clippers have won, they've done so under 8 different managers. Rick Down has won back-to-back in 91 and 92 with Columbus, and Mike Sarbaugh in 2010 and 2011. 2-0. Strike one on Kelly.
The other thing you could argue that this does is Columbus winning this wins them the title of IL Team of the Decade, because they'll have 4 titles and Durham will have 3. Essentially, they're battling for the most titles this decade as well. A vaunted title that, many discuss at many a tavern around.
Here's the 2-1. Swing by Kelly. Ropes it in and out of the Bulls' dugout. Pinballing around in the camera well on the first base side. Everybody's fine. 2-2. Clippers with a 6-2 lead. Pitch on Kelly. Hits a slider a mile in the air. Straight away, second base. Clement, about halfway in between first and second, makes the catch. And the Clippers 1 out away from snapping that championship tie of Governor's Cup titles with Rochester, and dethroning the two-time defending champion Durham Bulls in the process. Two outs, one on. Bulls still need two base runners to keep this game alive. And now here is Rocky Gale. Cousins breaks, first pitch stretching for his slider. Coming up empty, strike one. Defensive indifference sends Cousins to second.
In the dictionary, that one was the definition of defensive indifference.
A lean in by Edwards. Gets the sign from Navarro. And the 0-1 to Rocky Gale. A swing and a half-hit fly ball left center field. Out goes Velasquez. And with the 11th Governor's Cup championship, the Columbus Clippers stand alone as the most decorated champion in the history of the International League. They dethrone the two-time defending champion Durham Bulls. 6-2, the final in Game 3. A clean sweep of the two-time champion Bulls.